Monday morning in beautiful Music City, USA, as the SEC has made their way to Nashville, and so will DeAndre Hopkins. Welcome to Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville, and it is as official as it will get until he is holding a two-tone blue uniform in front of us. DeAndre Hopkins. You are a Tennessee Titan. With Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Kirby Allen Kirby, keeping us in between the navigational beacons here at SEC Media Days. Robert Walsh back in our Cumulus Nashville studios. I'm Will Bowling. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, how are we?
We're good. We're good. Good morning, Will. Morning, Kayla. Kirby Allen Kirby.
What's up, peeps?
Morning.
Kirby Allen Kirby.
Who's already had a Pepsi?
Yeah,
or two.
He's one down already, man. He gave us the outlook of the day, and we got a whole lot to look at this morning other than each other in the studio, y'all.
Yeah, this is kind of nice having this much energy at, 6 o'clock?
6:05.
There we go.
To be exact.
Energy
Kayla
around
Anderson?
us.
Yes.
We always have
That's
energy.
true.
There are other
Added
people,
energy.
living human beings that are looking us in the face.
In our space, yes, absolutely, Will. But we're up and rolling, man. A lot of news over this weekend. Well, good news over the weekend, right? And now SEC Media Days. This is my first right here, and it's always an eye-opener for me, for sure.
Is it going to be kind of weird, do you think? Like, do you remember these back in the day when it was like coming to this point of the season where you're like, okay, SEC Media Days are coming up. That means we're getting closer.
Yeah. By the way, I never got the invite for it, which I wasn't sure. They sent, like, usually a quarterback, a DB,
right tackles aren't going.
No, usually
if a right tackle is going, the team is not very
There's
good.
an issue,
Probably
right?
not that good. Oh, he's a bona fide first rounder.
That's right.
Either one of those situations, right? But I do remember this because it's usually the kickstart of where camp was about to begin.
Yep.
That's what I take from this. Like, I tell you guys all the time, after July 4th, the summer is over. That's usually how it goes. And this right here was another pit stop when it came down to we weren't probably lifting this heavy right now. It was fine-tuning everything in the weight room. It was probably doing more stretching. It was probably doing more conditioning this time of the year because it's about to get real. Like, football is legitimately around the corner. All the guys that have had surgeries over the winter time that didn't participate in spring practice or spring mat drills and early morning runs and stuff like that. Now those guys are in the fold. You see less guys inside of the training room because now you need to be ready. Everything is all about the season, trying to figure out where you're going to be as far as a player. Do I have my spot left as a starter? And who's in competition? It's so many questions around this time of the year because coaches back then, I would say, used to answer those questions to the public, and we would see stuff on message boards and stuff like that. But in general, it's go time now.
We're ready. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, my goodness.
It's exciting, man. It's probably we have one more week left before, what's today's date, the 17th? We have this Friday would probably be the day we did our conditioning test.
And then you were what? You had –
And then the next week it was like go time
Okay.
on like Monday or Tuesday, whichever day we were starting on. And I'll never forget the 07 season we had at UT. They pushed us to the limit on every single thing that summer, in the classroom, in the weight room, attitude-wise. Like, we had the right leadership stepping up. We had guys like Inky was still around, Gerard was around, Ainge was there. Like, it's so many just guys that were – playmakers that had to take steps up. Aaron, like, we had a stacked team, and I never forget our weight room staff. Those were one of the situations where I was like, okay, this is real. Everybody made weight, first and foremost, and then the condition test we had was 3110s. And he teased us about it like beginning of the year, like as soon as we started summer workouts. Johnny Long was our strength and conditioning coach, and he hit us with a condition test going to be 3110s. And everybody's looking like, yeah, right. We've only done like 16, maybe a bonus
31?
score. 30 of them, okay.
And that's why you won the SEC East.
It is. Like, we were
Right?
in shape. Like, everybody finished. Like, I remember the last sprint, the 30th one we made. Like, it was like a sprint to the finish. We were just conditioned and honestly broken down and built up. It was – summer of 07 was the year. That was
He gave up 3 sacks the entire season, including
sacks.
one of the bowl game.
Oh, Kayla, it
entire
was
season.
like everything led up to like conditioning. It was so fun.
Well, the big story today in Nashville, the Titans are expected to sign 3-time All-Pro wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins to a 2-year, $26 million contract, as first reported by A to Z Sports yesterday. NFL.com's Ian Rappaport had the contract details on a deal that has a base value of $12 million for year one, with a chance to get up to $15 million. And in total, the contract can be worth up to $32 million with incentives. Guys, we have been talking about this the entire summer. It has been the third installment now of what was originally Clowney-gate, then became Julio Watch. Now DeAndre Mania is finally coming to an end with him wearing a Titans uniform at the end of all of this. We are at SEC Media Days. Today's show, we will be splitting our attention between DeAndre Hopkins and SEC Media Days because, guys, yesterday and this week becomes the ultimate NFL is king moment in the city of Nashville. We're talking 25 years ago when SEC Media Days are in town. We are spending every iota of a second talking about the SEC and previewing all 14 teams, although then, of course, there were not 14 teams in the SEC. But we're going to do a little bit of both today for sure as we talk with Adam Sparks at 8:20 for the Knoxville News Sentinel on the 6,000 pages of documents that he has unearthed about Tennessee football over the last 48 hours that have been terrific. And then Hendon Hooker, who joins us at 9:30 this morning. So we have got a ton to talk about on this Monday.
Yeah, I'm just, you know what, here's the DeAndre Hopkins tie to the SEC. He's a South Carolina guy, right? Yeah. So there we go. I mean, at least he wasn't from another conference, so we get to incorporate the SEC a little bit in that topic.
Could you imagine losing his alma mater this past year, Ramon? What was that like?
Couldn't be me.
Did I bring that up? I'm sorry.
In this calendar year,
couldn't be my team.
Could not be my team. Couldn't be
my team at all.
Man, I'll tell you what, though. The energy last night, I could almost just feel it on every social platform coming through. I mean, you're going to have those people that are like, why did we do it again?
Of course.
But for the majority of the people out there, people were pretty excited about the news, except for New England fans. Who made that clear?
What's the rumor this weekend? Is well, I heard two situations this weekend that spoke about they put pork in his clam chowder. And he hadn't ate pork in like 8 years or something like that. So there's that conspiracy
theory. No wonder why he didn't sign.
Exactly. And now New England beat writers are also at a point to where they're saying that New England just dipped their toe in.
Yeah.
The Titans went all the way. I was like, oh my God. Harry Douglas was the one that kind of I heard those things from this morning. Mm-hmm. Insane. Very much insane.
Essentially yesterday, a lot of people were telling on themselves thinking that Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill.
Yep.
I can't believe that's actually an opinion that is contained by real people that actually watch football.
Mac he's on his way out, right, Kayla, for the most part?
They battled last year with Zappe, right? Bailey Zappe. So you don't know that that's guaranteed his spot. Also, I thought it was funny, Dan Orvalowski, he commented on, it from home yesterday on Zoom, and the first thing he said, he's like, well, I didn't see the Titans signing him, and then he just went straight into why New England missed an opportunity. I'm like, so you're not going to give the Titans any credit.
What a fan.
But it was, what New England had lost.
DeAndre Hopkins, by the way, a Clemson grad. That's what we were referencing.
Yes.
Haven't lost him.
Cool.
Yes, my bad. He's from South Carolina.
My
bad.
They got a lot of sneaky athletes over there. They do. That is a hotbed for recruiting. It'll be interesting to have some conversation around here to figure out how many people are poaching those states, man.
Well, coming up, what the Titans' playoff percentage now looks like before and after DeAndre Hopkins, the ripple effects of the big news yesterday in the National Football League is the Titans reportedly, as first reported by A to Z Sports, will add the 3-time All-Pro wide receiver.
Wow.
Your reaction to that all morning at 615-737-1045. Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel at 8:20. And former Tennessee quarterback. We can now say VFL. Hendon Hooker. Will be good to catch up with him for the first time since we saw him at Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Tons to discuss live from SEC Media Days this morning. DHop, the latest on the newest Tennessee Titan, coming up next right here on Ramon K. Littlewell.
If you have a wet basement or crawl space, it's time to call United Structural Systems. We've all heard about these guys for a long time and for good reasons. They've served Middle Tennessee since 1994 and helped thousands of satisfied residential customers in that time. As a matter of fact, we're going to tell you about one of them, Stephen, from January 11th of this year. And it goes, all of the work USS has done for us over the years has been top-notch. I heartily recommend USS every time I hear of anyone in the area dealing with structural foundation issues. The foremen and teams have always been polite, professional, and provide timely working recommendations. Living in a brick house on a big hill in Hendersonville provides its own challenges, but USS gives us a peace of mind for the future. That was Steven right here in our area earlier this year talking about the work that USS has done for him. If you're like Steven and you want a free estimate, reach out to the people I trust and Steven trusts also. Go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or call them. New phone number is 615-492-2226. That's 615-492-2226.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. It's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is our number. Live from 2023 SEC Media Days with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. We go first to John in the Borough as we begin our DeAndre Hopkins reaction here on the show as he unofficially becomes a Tennessee Titan yesterday. What's going on, John? How are you? John, you there?
John in the Borough.
There he is.
Good morning.
What's up,
got
John?
me?
Yeah, we got
gotcha.
you. Morning.
All right. First off, Will, great call on the NFC match on Saturday. I was listening to the match as I was watching the Braves. So you did so well that you made me mute the Braves game to listen to
Wow.
The Zone.
Thank you.
Wow.
Appreciate it.
What a compliment.
You know, if I'm gonna call in and criticize you every once in a while, I better call in and give you your flowers when they're due, my man.
Thank you, John.
Hey, look
Appreciate
at
that.
you, man. Proud of you right there, John.
But in any event, moving on to DeAndre. Yeah, look, we're not. This is not the Will Bowling show. We're not going to keep it rolling.
Correct.
Anyway, with DeAndre, I was talking to my buddy about this yesterday. I'm not one of those who says, okay, this automatically moves us into the AFC South winners conversation or anything like that. Like, the Jaguars are still a problem. What I think, though, we can have realistic expectations for DeAndre to have what we thought Julio would have when we signed him. You know, he's a guy that's going to take some pressure off of Derek. He's a guy who's going to take pressure off of Traylon. You know, he's a guy who moves the needle. It's not necessarily about we're going to automatically make the playoffs. We're going to automatically, be the contender for winning the AFC South. It's the difference between going 7-3 with a healthy Tannehill and a healthy O-line and a better O-line before Tannehill got hurt last year. Now we have the option of looking at maybe we can go 11 wins, 12 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's that kind of needle that gets moved.
Fair.
Thank you, John. Appreciate the call.
I think that's the biggest difference, you guys, from when Julio came here, right?
Yeah.
That was like the missing piece in terms of getting them to be competitive for a possible Lombardi trophy.
Right.
I mean, that's what everybody was talking about. You needed that one more piece. This has more so been like, first of all, the wide receiver room just needs help.
It did.
Let's just get that out of the
Yeah.
way. But second of all, I think this more so has also been like, hey, to have another guy with Traylon Burks that has an experience. Look, we've been talking about that veteran leadership and where it could be for the past several months.
Yes, we
and I
have.
remember when Ran Carthon and Mike Vrabel said in the press conference when they did, the class, when they had their rookie class, we still are doing something.
They did.
There's still work to be done, and a free agent very well could be signed, and here we are.
I think the question now becomes, have they learned from why the Julio Jones disaster didn't work? Mm-hmm. And we've had this discussion a lot over the past few weeks that are the Titans willing to put DeAndre Hopkins in a preseason game? Are they willing to have him practice as much as he physically can in order to gain that chemistry and that rapport with Ryan Tannehill? I need to see that Mike Vrabel has learned from why that didn't work. And yes, there are things that were out of the Titans' control when Julio Jones didn't work because of the hamstring injury he picked up.
Sure.
Genuinely on like the second ball that he was thrown in all of training camp when he was here that season in 2021. But that, to me, is the biggest question, guys. How do we differentiate this and take something that was an abject failure in 2021, a guy that caught one touchdown pass, and it was the last game of the season in Houston, and now how do we turn this into a success with a guy who does have a very different skill set and is at a different point in his career?
One, I think it's exactly that. Evaluate it for what it is. Like, understand who he is as a player. All right, if he needs practice, get him out there. If you need to ask him in certain ways, DeAndre, I need you out there. We have to build this chemistry up. As far as what you need to be doing, where your breaks need to be, because those are all things. The rumors around DeAndre have been at times. Like, he runs his route and he's just so good at catching the ball that anything in the air is his. Like, that's all anybody usually says about him. He's not the greatest route runner. He's one of the greatest athletes we've seen play the wide receiver position. So because of that, he gets away with certain things. What has to happen is an understanding of what you want out of him. One, like you said, Kayla, the leadership skills of being able to bring Traylon Burks through. Two, honestly, the threat of having his name. That's why we're all in this conversation. They can go sign another wide receiver and then not be DeAndre Hopkins, so you're going to turn your nose up at it. The name brings a whole lot of credibility to it, and just the idea that he can make you those plays and change what this offense is if, of course, he has an incentive-based contract too. Catching a certain amount of catches allows him to make more money. Will Tim Kelly and his staff be able to do those things for him, or will they want to do those things for him too, Will? Because if he's out there blocking at the wide receiver position, I don't know how much we're going to get out of any guy that's an outsider. If you're drafted here, A.J. loved blocking. A.J. Brown loved blocking, right?
So did Corey Davis.
Corey Davis. They were born here. Robert Woods, not so much. Julio Jones, not so much. You see what I'm saying? Those guys.
Josh Reynolds.
Who didn't
Titans
even
legend.
didn't remain on the team for the whole year.
So it does, Will. I think what you're saying is very true, getting him out there. But it's also the evaluation of what you actually need him to do. Mm-hmm. Have him do those things, because a happy wide receiver – this is gonna sound weird me saying this, will make your job a whole lot safer than you making him do what you want him to do.
And here's another thing. Like, look, this is a now Tim Kelly run offense, so we don't know exactly what that means, right? But we have heard that there has been tweaks to the offense. The lingo is a little different. That we're hoping is going to be a little bit more in favor of what not Julio, but DeAndre Hopkins is going to be wanting to do here. And I would think that when you're sitting down in a meeting room with Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon, like, those are the questions you're asking. DeAndre's not an idiot. He played against the Titans. He did very well against the Titans, might I ask, when he was in Houston. So he's going to be asking those questions like, how will I be utilized? I don't want to come here and be blocking the entire time. But I think it's important that he signed now, because we were all saying he could sign at any time. He could even wait till, the start of the season. But instead, he's signing now. Camp starts, in a week, pretty much? 25th is when they'll be out there in practice. And for him to be out there and starting to build that from the get-go, chemistry with Ryan Tannehill, I just hope to see him out at training camp. And, once the season gets underway, if he needs to take days off like some of these vets do, then so be it.
He's got to play. He has to play with the quarterback. I mean, this is this is the most important thing to me at this point, is the way that process looks. And then now on the flip side of that, we were all sitting in Nissan Stadium when Julio Jones would come on or off the field, and we could tell you what the play was going to be.
Wow.
If Nick Westbrook-Ikine was on the field instead of Julio Jones, you were either running the football or you were running a play-action pass to that side of the field and trying to spring A.J. Brown deep. Every single time. I need this offense to not be so predictable that 12-year-olds in the stadium can tell you what the team is running based on, hey, is DeAndre Hopkins on the field? Oh, he is? Okay, they're throwing it because they don't want him to block. Tim Kelly has got to be more creative than Todd Downing was. That's maybe the theme of the entire offseason.
That's very true.
Is that Tim Kelly is going to have to come up with things that Todd Downing was unable to do and package things in a way that gets his best players open. You got a new best player to get open.
Yeah.
And the familiarity of Tim Kelly having already called offenses for DeAndre Hopkins, that's what makes this, to me, a potential to put the Titans in the postseason.
Right.
I am much more optimistic about the Titans battling with Jacksonville with a number one dude on this roster, because the last time Ryan Tannehill had two healthy all-pro level wide receivers, he was Pro Bowler.
And that offense was actually very well balanced.
It was outstanding.
Right?
It's the balance part that I'm speaking of when it comes to him, too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, the passing game. That right there means for a more efficient Derrick Henry, too. Like, all these things can have a trickle-down effect. We see growth to Traylon. We get a passing game that we hadn't seen since 2020 and 2021, like, if we're being honest about it. And, again, like I said earlier, it's weird that I have to say this, but you do have to kind of piece to what DeAndre's going to be doing.
Sure.
You do have to. A happy DeAndre Hopkins, Traylon Burks, Chig Okonkwo will mean a more balanced offense for you. And you're not bending the knee. There's no idea that you're bending the knee when it comes down to the players getting what they want, because the run game is in the DNA of what the Tennessee Titans, Houston Oilers is all about. However you want to splice that, the run DNA is here. But to be able to have that balance and say, DeAndre, look, Stalk block. That's all I need for you on this play, and then we're going to grease you down the field for whatever yards you want. Because there has to be some give and some take. You've never been in the knee. It's always about relationships when you sign these type of pro guys or have these type of pro dudes in your locker room. Same as Derek. Derek gets that pro treatment like that. There's so many guys that Jeff gets that pro treatment right now.
Right.
You have to be able to have that and have respect and also demand the most out of your players.
Mm-hmm.
What you're saying is happy wide receiver, happy life.
Yeah.
Like you legitimately keep stopping
it
short of being like happy wife, happy life. Like,
I promise
you think Josh
Right?
Heupel would agree with that when we talked to him Thursday? Like,
Man.
happy wide receiver, happy life?
Yes. Ask Jalen
Happy
Hyatt about
quarterback.
that. Yeah, happy quarterback.
Ask Hendon Hooker if Jalen Hyatt's 5 touchdowns made him happy
Yeah.
Dog, I'm
against
telling you.
Alabama.
It's such a finicky position, and y'all know that the personality of those dudes, if you got one or you got two, like Traylon, also, guess what you do? You buy into what they're good at. Again, it may look like, oh, he's a player's coach. No, screw all of that, okay? Give the guys what they want, because if they get what they want, you get what you want. You get to keep your job,
And
too.
you know what I like, too, and we talked about this before this all even became a reality, is he's bringing some dog to that wide receiver room. Because no matter what you say, Traylon is a different guy, but he still doesn't have the veteran
He don't know how to
years
yet.
to have the dog, right? Now you got a guy like DeAndre who's going to come in there and camp you hope and put some dog, in that room.
Yeah, and then it elevates everybody, too. Guess what? Pressure's added now.
Yeah, true.
Pressure's added to everybody in the room to perform to what they think
point.
DeAndre is capable of, and that's a good thing.
Yep.
I mean, even if the Titans have just hired a $26 million wide receivers coach, not the worst thing in the world.
It ain't. It's not.
Genuinely, they're not the worst thing in the world.
It's not. And again, like you said, hopefully with the rehab and with all things professional, they pick up on.
615-737-1045 is our number. We go back to the phone lines where Austin is in Lynchburg. Up next, talking DeAndre Hopkins and the Tennessee Titans. What's going on, Austin?
Good morning, guys. How's it going? It's Monday.
Yeah,
What's up, Austin?
I'm glad that he allegedly, I guess, signed. My only worry is what it will do to our future and current salary cap. Because there's going to have to be some moves made right now. I mean, we don't have enough cap. We ain't even signed Levis. So there may be some more breaking news in the near future. But I think it's a good sign. I think the difference between Hopkins and Julio is Julio was, chronically hurt.
Yep.
Injured his previous years before the Titans. But I think it's a good signing. I'm interested to see how they make it work.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. Appreciate the call. And according to Spot Track, who laid this out last night, and Mike Giannitti, the Titans have $8.3 million of top 51 cap space entering this week. The early reports that DeAndre Hopkins' new contract carries $12 million cash in 2023. There is a very feasible way to make that cap number look like $5 or $6 million in 2023.
Okay.
So interested to see exactly what the cap number looks like. The Titans don't have to make any moves in order to get DeAndre Hopkins under that number. They do have to make moves, though. You mentioned signing Will Levis. That's something they haven't done yet. And they also just need the flexibility to sign guys when you inevitably have injuries during the season. I mean, some of the guys they've brought in off the street in the middle of seasons, Andrew Adams,
Sure.
Guys like that who have been injury replacements mid-year. You're going to have $3-4 million for guys like that. Does this signing mean the Titans are willing to restructure or extend Ryan Tannehill? Because honestly,
that question.
It makes sense if you're going to give Ryan Tannehill a weapon to say, let's add on a year.
Sure.
And maybe part of the pitch to DeAndre Hopkins is you have a 2-year deal, you've got a quarterback that's going to be here for 2 years. Because that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
For this Titans team, if they want to be a contender in 2024, the best case scenario is Ryan Tannehill returns to his 2020 and 2021 form, without a shadow of a doubt.
There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Because
even if Will Levis steps up, Levis steps up to become that guy next season, there's still going to be growing pains.
Yes, 100%. Y'all know I've been saying this for a while.
Oh, I know.
Tannehill is going to be – I feel like it's better for him to be extended. And I'd even say this probably over Derek because of the position. The position says that the quarterback is the most important player on the team almost at every level, right? And I know a lot of people push back and say, no, Derek is here. But, no, the quarterback usually is. Ask any coach, any GM, whatever you want to think of.
Or watch Netflix.
Or watch Netflix, exactly, which I've been watching. By the way, too, and it makes sense. Tannehill's number's not going to be outrageous. You have the ability to say, Tannehill, we got you for this one and maybe next. And the thing is, his number could be so lower, and I put air quotation marks next year, Tannehill, that if Levis does beat him, guess what you also get out of Tannehill? You get a backup. You got to be able to have enough depth, right? That's one thing we speak about when we talk about teams that make it far. Do they have extra OL? Do they have do they have a quarterback that can come in and win a game or two from the receiver? Like, depth matters even at the quarterback position. So if Levis does beat him out next year or Tannehill craps the bed, guess what? You got a guy that can walk in as a second-year guy like Will Levis or be a backup in Ryan Tannehill.
Right, and if Ryan Tannehill gets a year extension, DeAndre's here for right now 2 years, right? You've got these guys working together, cohesive, whatever, collaboration with the quarterback and his new wide receiver, one of his what you hope to be top weapon. So that would be good just to have that for 2 years. And then, like you said, have Levis – learn under Tannehill a little more. Don't put the pressure on him to have to be ready at some certain point, right?
Yeah.
If anything, he can be that viable backup that can come in if needed. If there's an injury, you hope not. But I think that's the way you could do it, unless it's an awful season, right? Unless Ryan is just god awful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it's an okay solution.
I do love the hesitancy of Austin, though, that just called in.
Yeah.
Because now that you got him,
things.
now you want to think about the money and everything. It's like, no, let's not
we
do that,
haven't really
okay?
talked about that a lot, though.
Some people say the cap doesn't exist, okay? So there's that.
Some people.
615-737-1045 our number. More of our reaction to DeAndre Hopkins' reported signing yesterday. And one complaint I have, I've got a lot of complaints every time I go on Twitter.com, but one complaint of a horrible comparison being made to DeAndre Hopkins yesterday on the internet.
I saw
Coming
that.
up on our Moan Kayla and Will.
It's Ramon and Kayla for Window Nation. Y'all know, y'all have heard us talk about it. It's here. The heat, humidity, scorching, sweaty temps, and it's that way this week. The high temps forcing your AC into overdrive, leading to sky-high energy bills. The solution? New windows from our friends at Window Nation, where you can save thousands a day with no money down, no payments, and pay no interest for 2 years. Plus, Window Nation will give you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy, so you can protect and increase the value of your home today. Simply calling them at 866-90Nation or going online to windownation.com.
Yeah, you all know we are cranking up the AC, especially at night when we're all kind of sweating there. So you can actually save up to 30% on your energy bills by just simply installing new windows from Window Nation. And get this, increase the value of your home by up to $12,000. So you're wondering, well, what makes me think I need new windows? Maybe the windows are leaking. Maybe there's some condensation with the humidity. Maybe you've even seen some mold growing on there. That means you need new window, folks, and get in on this deal now. You heard Moan, 000 for 2 years, so that's no money down, no payments, no interest for 2 full years. So go ahead. Don't procrastinate. Do it now. Check out our friends at Window Nation. Call 866-90Nation or check them out at windownation.com.
Monday morning on our bone, Kayla and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. Glad you're hanging out with us this morning. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join in on the discussion. And, guys, there is one thing that annoyed me more than anything in the world yesterday. If I saw one more person compare 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins to 35-year-old Andre Johnson, I was going to throw my phone into the Cumberland River.
You really caught a lot of those tweets, didn't you?
Oh, it was just nonstop of just like pictures of Randy Moss in a Titans jersey, which that's always a fun one. Then there was a picture of Julio Jones in a Titans jersey. I'm okay if you want to make that comparison. But Andre Johnson coming off a 500-yard season at 35 years old is not the same as what the Titans just got in DeAndre Hopkins.
No, it's not the same, too. And also different style of wide receiver, too. I mean, you have a smaller, quicker, leaner wide receiver, too, than you had in years past. And I think DeAndre has taken good care of himself, too. Despite the PED situation that he had, like, he's done that well. He's taken care of his body. He's had small amounts of injuries. I'm knocking on wood, Titans fans. Trust me as I say these types of things.
Don't vouch for him. Just
he's just been
healthy.
Yes, he's been available, and that's the one thing you need out of a guy like him in an offense like this. Availability is the biggest thing you can do. So yes, Will, I'm with you on that one, man. Those two are not the same.
Well, look at what DeAndre Hopkins is coming off of last year for what he did do in those 9 games, because he was coming off the PED suspension.
Yes.
And he supposedly didn't play because of that sprained knee at the end of the season. Whether or not that was just trying to stay healthy or whatever, that's another story. But this is a guy who had, was it 700-plus yards in those 9 games?
Yeah.
Let me say this, too. He was one of the most targeted wide receivers in the NFL for that time, too, and accounted for, I believe, about 35% of any of their offense in the wide receivers room. So this is a guy who clearly had production in his last year at Arizona. And let's add this to the table. It's not like that was a well-oiled machine over there.
No.
So, I mean, if he was doing anything, he was doing what he could. So this is totally different, Will, from anything in terms of a 35-year-old Andre Johnson.
And if I'm not mistaken, of course, Kyler Murray with the ACL last year, too. So there's that, too. Like you said, Kayla, it was a real crap show when it came down to what he was capable of doing and what he did last year.
615-737-1045, the number if you want to join in on the discussion. Saw this from Alan Bell, a sports line at 247 last night on Tennessee's playoff odds before and after they added DeAndre Hopkins. Thought this was interesting. Their win total goes from 7.9 to 8.3 with DeAndre Hopkins. So a little bit of a difference there. Their chances to win the AFC South jump from 20% to 25%. The Titans' chances to make the playoffs jump from 31% to 37%. 6.5 percentage difference. That's the biggest difference you have between any of these categories. That's pretty substantial for one player. He's 31 years old.
Yeah.
It's the playmaking aspect of what this team needed, man. He does do those things. He's a familiar item, y'all. And that's one thing I am super excited about is this one you can trust a little bit. And I think it was Austin earlier that brought that up on the call about Julio and his injuries and stuff, or John, whoever it was. This is the thing. We knew that about Julio before he signed. Did we not?
Yep,
we knew
did.
those things about Julio. So, again, one is not compared to the other. Don't let something burn you from not experiencing it again when it comes down to this guy being a playmaker for your Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 seasons, DeAndre Hopkins has missed 15 games due to a 6-game suspension and various injuries. So he has been banged up the last 2 years. Certainly not just something that was the PED suspension. But in the 19 games he did play, he has still been more valuable to the Arizona Cardinals than any receiver not named A.J. Brown has been to the Tennessee Titans. And that's the thing. That I think the expectation can be different for DeAndre because even if he only plays, let's say, 10 games this season, he's still an upgrade for those 10 games so substantially that there's no reason not to do this move. What other moves are you going to make with the money that you're getting him for? In those 19 games, he caught 106 balls for 1,289 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, he was, like I said, he was still productive, no matter if he's over 30 or whatever people want to say when they hit that 30 mark. And he's a nightmare for opposing defenses to have to game prep for, period. So this was the best available wide receiver on the market, hands down. You got him for what I thought was a pretty decent deal.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, it wasn't like he wasn't a hot commodity. I mean, he was. Like, there were teams that, maybe couldn't afford him, but still would like to have him to add to that team. And the Titans, no matter what, have been saying, since the end of the season, like, we've got to add to the wide receiver room.
Yep.
They realized that. I think there was a plan the whole time, and he was incorporated in it.
He's a menace on the field is what he is. And the best thing about him, if you do what certain teams will do, double the star, meaning DeAndre, try to take him out, you still have Traylon.
Yep.
That's what it does. It opens up the flexibility. You can't cover both, especially if both are still a threat. Both healthy each week, you got options to move the ball down the field. That's the most exciting part.
Did Traylon Burks over-under for the season just go up by like 100 yards yesterday?
It should have.
And I saw some
Truly.
people saying that it would go down. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No.
This takes away from him? No.
Traylon Burks now will have higher expectations for this season because he has DeAndre Hopkins.
I agree.
Either playing on the other side or playing inside.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Mike Herndon, who's covered the Titans and does a great job covering this team, say on Twitter yesterday that Tim Kelly used DeAndre Hopkins a lot inside in his last year together with him in Houston.
Yeah.
And that's something we talked about a lot when it was AJ and Julio, is that when you have two types of the same kind of wide receiver playing next to each other, and you have one big physical corner, and when you fill your tool chest on the defensive side of the ball, and you add your speedy corners and you add your more physical corners, and every week, based on the matchup, your bigger physical guys cover the bigger physical wide receivers, and your faster corners cover the faster wide receivers.
Right.
You may only have one legitimate starting caliber corner who has the ability to cover bigger physical wide receivers.
Yeah.
You now have two types of the same kind of guy.
Yes.
And one of them in Traylon Burks with more straight line speed to take the top off the defense.
Yep.
They complement each other well.
You have really more weapons altogether, right? Because we're hoping Kyle Phillips, stays healthy.
Yeah.
You've got that option.
Yeah.
So there's a little more versatility in that wide receiver room now.
615-737-1045. We'll get to Mario and Ronnie on the other side as we react to the Titans making the big move yesterday that the entire National Football League has been waiting for, adding DeAndre Hopkins. We reset those headlines. We also tell you about who is going to be speaking with the media here in Nashville today. 3 teams, as well as the commissioner. The unofficial commissioner of college football, I should add. The commissioner of
Pretty
the
much.
SEC, Greg Sankey, who will meet with the media today here in Nashville. 1 hour down, 3 more to go on your Monday morning. It's RKW 104.5 The Zone.
What the heck's going on, all y'all? It's 7:01 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Some big news happened yesterday. Probably got all the Titans fans to their feet as three-time All-Pro wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is expected to sign a 2-year, $26 million deal worth up to $32 million with incentives with the Tennessee Titans. A to Z's Doug Kyed was the first to report that. He'll join the Buck Rising show today at 12:20, but I talked about it being an incentive-based contract. Ian Rappaport broke down those incentives in the contract, saying there are $3 million in incentives available for his catches, his yards, and his touchdowns each year. This year, if he reaches 95 catches, 1,050 yards, and 10 touchdowns, he gets the whole $15 million. What a bag. And also in the AFC South, the Jaguars and tight end Evan Ingram agreed to terms on a 3-year, $41 million deal with $24 million guaranteed per Tom Pelissero. Essentially, it is a 2-year extension in addition to the tag. So the Jaguars keep another big weapon on the roster for a couple more years. Also, around the tag deadline, the Cowboys and Bernard Pollard, barring a late change, are not expected to reach a deal by Monday's 4 p.m. franchise deadline. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. Now back to SEC Media Day with Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and as always, it is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. From the heart of the Music City, right on Broadway, it is 2023 SEC Media Days. We welcome all of the media, all of the coaches, the commissioner, and anything in between. Alabama fans with rings as hats here to SEC Media Days in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. And our full crew here is here.
Yeah, we are.
Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Kirby Allen Kirby, who's somewhere loitering here at the Grand Hyatt in downtown Nashville. Robert Walsh back at our 104.5 The Zone studios. We do not know a live Pepsi count on Kirby, but I think it's at least one.
Yeah, Ramon just saw the coffee getting wheeled down here.
Hey man, you wanna get a morning crew ready, yeah. Will? I hate to even interrupt you right there, man, but look what's strolling down the hallways.
Yep.
An entire platform.
Wow.
And look, Kirby's behind. It was makes it seem like
mugs. There are like full just carafes
you the man, Kirby.
Did you pull this off, Kirby?
Kirby pulled this off.
Kirby Allen Kirby comes over and just has a full thing of coffee right in front of him.
Oh, man, Kirby. It was so fitting. It was by far the best thing that could have happened this morning was the coffee cart to come by and Kirby to be behind it. Kirby, did you make it happen?
I can neither confirm nor deny that I had any presence in the coffee.
I just love it. You're like, and there comes Kirby. I love that.
It was, Caleb. My mouth dropped when I saw the coffee cart come by. Okay, all right. Now I'm back on schedule, Will. My B.
There we go.
There we go.
Sounds good. 615-737-1045 is our number if you want to join in. DeAndre Hopkins is a Tennessee Titan. Lots more reaction on that as the morning continues. LSU, Missouri, and Texas A&M, the three teams who will be making the rounds today at SEC Media Days 2023. Brian Kelly, Eli Drinkwitz, Jimbo Fisher, as well as Greg Sankey, who gives his State of the SEC address to begin the festivities here. Tons more on that as the morning and week continues. But, guys, NFL is king here in Nashville, and today's all about DeAndre Hopkins.
It is. And you know what? We all got a little Sunday surprise. Is that what we want to call it?
A Sunday surprise, yeah.
Every time there is, and we knew this week was going to be full of SEC action, right?
Yeah.
But every time we felt this season or the off season like there was a dull moment in the Titans, facility or whatever, there was always something that came along to surprise us. I swear they are the gift that keeps on giving here. Indeed. The Tennessee Titans. I didn't really expect for it to drop today. I'm not going to lie. I thought maybe give us another week or so. But this is just, I think for a lot of fans, just excited now to get into training camp with knowing you've got another piece in that wide receiver room, knowing you have a veteran presence, and really maybe a little bragging rights like, hey, we got it over New England.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, too, that for the folks that question the front office, you got an aggressive front office. I think we can't state that enough either. It's the fact that this team, the management of this team, coaches, scouts, front office, are all aggressive in trying to win.
It's Rand's first big signing.
Yeah.
Well, the Titans have signed one of the all-time Titans killers by adding DeAndre Hopkins, a guy who years ago was putting on his Instagram a picture of himself in an Oilers jersey, saying, wouldn't it be cool if we were able to wear these? Well, now you can wear these, DeAndre, and that knife will be twisted just a little bit more. Now, if the Titans wear the Oilers throwbacks against the Houston Texans and DeAndre Hopkins gets to wear them, I mean,
love this.
that is claiming ownership over an entire city and organization that you used to actually own real estate with. But of DeAndre Hopkins' 40 100-yard games, 7 of them are against the Tennessee Titans in his career, including one that was 250.
God.
He is genuinely one of the all-time Titans killers for any of us that have watched this team for more than 5 minutes. And he had 2 of those 100-yard games last year, October 20th and October 30th, 10 for 103 against the Saints, 12 for 159 in Minnesota against the Vikings and King Kirk Cousins. He genuinely still has that big game and big play ability that this team desperately needs, and he's done so against the Titans for legitimately all of his career.
Yeah, it's like what running back Derrick Henry is to the Jags. We call him the Jag killer.
Sure.
So
this
true.
is definitely what Titans fans think of when they think of DeAndre in the Houston years, or just any team that has played against the Titans with him on it. So I think now you mentioned a big thing there, Will, that having him still to be able to have those big games, right? Because that's something where when even Julio was here, there was not even anything close to a big game for Julio. Just to know you can have him here for a few of those, even if that, they'll take it.
It was just that Seahawks game.
Right.
Literally
Exactly.
week 2 or whatever it was. That was all that it was.
Yeah.
For Julio,
all it
he didn't
was.
score a touchdown until week the
it
final
towards
week of the
the end?
season.
Yeah.
No, it was the last game of the season, and because Mike Keith's call on it was
That's right.
finally.
Finally.
And he had a touchdown against Seattle that was
Right.
taken away from him on a bad replay review.
That's
but
true.
still,
It was a foot, right?
Still.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
615-737-1045. The number. Mario is in Memphis, leading us off this morning here in hour 2 on DeAndre Hopkins. What's going on, Mario?
Yo, how y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, Mario.
Hey, look here. I heard y'all talking about Tannehill this morning. I mean, it sounds good, but man, just to be honest, man, Titan fans are sick of Tannehill, man. He broke our heart against Cincinnati. We never recovered from that. We had a good offense that year, a good running game, solid defense. And you know what you get from this guy. You can see this guy sit in the pocket and make some of the dumbest decisions ever. Just throw picks. I remember we were playing the Raiders, was it last season? We were playing the Raiders. We were killing the Raiders. The man stood right in the pocket and just threw a pick. I'm like, if one of these young guys beat him out in camp, they need to cut ways with him. If one of these guys look better than Tannehill in preseason, cut ways with him. You got a lot of cap money right there, and who knows who you can bring in during the season. But if Leviston or either Willis beat him out, man, you got to let him go, man. I mean, you know what you're getting with Tannehill. You ain't getting much.
Thank you, Mario. I can assure you without a shadow of a doubt that there is no chance Will Levis or Malik Willis beat Ryan Tannehill in preseason.
Nope, that's not
There is
happening.
a 0% chance of that happening.
It ain't going to happen.
And talking about who you could sign in the regular season, unless you want a Marcus Mariota return.
Isn't he with Philly?
There is no one. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Genuinely,
I think he's with
that's
the
the
Eagles.
level of quarterback you're going to get that's going to get cut and be on waivers out of training camp.
Look,
so good luck with that.
And this is the type of thing that we go back to. I understand the Tannehill hate because of that game against Cincinnati has broken the hearts of so many Titans fans. But in a short advice to all those people, get over it. Man. Because you know what? That's who they're rolling with this season and could be even next season. Look, he cleaned up the interceptions last year. He did get hurt. I mean, that was a part of it. He wasn't on the field for every game last year. The year before was a little bit of a disaster. The turnovers were an issue. You saw that then in the playoffs where it reared its ugly head again. But I feel like Ryan Tannehill is ready to go. Give him a chance. Give him a chance to get in there and get familiar with his new guys and get familiar with this offense. Also, the offensive line wasn't great last year. You can't put that all on Tannehill.
It wasn't. There are so many different lanes when it comes down to this.
There are 2 quarterbacks, by the way, available right now who are unsigned. You mentioned Marcus Mariota. He is a Philadelphia Eagle.
Okay.
2 quarterbacks are available that you could sign, to Mario's point. Both of them played for the Indianapolis Colts for the last 3 seasons. Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan are the best 2 available quarterbacks.
Nathaniel. Golly, man.
Also Nick Foles.
Oh, great. The gift that keeps on giving in the quarterback
Bryce
room.
Perkins, Joe Flacco. You want me to Chase Daniel, NFL legend Chase Daniel. I mean, those are the guys you would sign.
The thing that gets you with Tannehill, his interceptions, man, is it really could just be a deep dive. Because the amount of touchdown that he throws, because the Titans don't historically throw the ball a whole lot, a ton, that 21-14 in 2021 is a bad look. Last year, he had it under 10, but he only started 12 games, too. The expectation of what he's supposed to do in this offense is really – it highlights his interceptions, I think, more than anything, because you rely on the run game so much that anytime he makes a mistake, and since 2020, man, y'all have been on this guy's neck.
Yep.
And I get it. He's not your guy that you love, but he's the guy that you have. And I'm not even going to stand on the soapbox with Ryan Tannehill because the tape is what the tape is, and your opinions of him are what they are. But he's the best option that you have, bar none, and it's not even close right now. And I'm not even a pat on the back type of guy, but Tannehill is pretty solid when he has weapons. It's been proven. This dude had 33 touchdowns 2 years ago.
Yeah. That's what I said.
And if he has an offensive line,
now
he has 2 legitimate wide receivers. The question is, does he have an offensive line? Remains to be seen because we don't know who his right tackle is because Nicholas Petit-Frere is out for 6.
Right. The one thing he won't have is Double D trying to protect him.
No, he will
That's
not.
Dennis Daly, for those unfamiliar. Dennis Daly, yes, that's for sure. 615-737-1045. More of your phone calls and reaction as DeAndre Hopkins becomes a Tennessee Titan. And we broadcast live from SEC Media Days 2023 here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. They brought Media Days to Broadway. And we're 1 hour in. Continuing here with your phone calls in hour 2 next on 104.5 The Zone. What's going on? It's Will Bowling. You've heard me talk about how Lee Company is all you need for your home, but they're also all you need for your facility. That's right. Their expert technicians on the facilities team have you covered, not just for HVAC, but for plumbing and electrical too. You've heard that tagline. Lee Company is all you need, and I really mean it when I say it, because from healthcare facilities to industrial and everything in between, Lee Company is available 24/7, 365 to keep your building running efficiently. Not only are they all you need, they are available whenever you need. So call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or contact them online at leecompany.com. Do what I do and trust the folks who have been trusted since 1944 with 14 community locations here in Tennessee and also in Kentucky and Alabama. They are ready to help you at a moment's notice. So give them a call at 615-567-1000. Visit them online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Monday morning on RKW. It's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is the number. As we broadcast live from SEC Media Days 2023. Coming up this morning, Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel at 8:20, and then at 9:30, Hendon Hooker joins us.
Nice.
A year after he sliced up all the defenses that will be represented here at SEC Media Days.
We had him live, dinner during the Senior Bowl. So two
right.
live things when it comes to Hendon in this show.
It'll be great to catch up with him. Absolutely. Let's go back to the phones, though, first, where Mike is in Cleveland. First up, 615-737-1045. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Mike.
Yo, what up? What's good? What's goody? What's up with y'all?
Look at this,
long time no speak.
Back with us. Mike, we've missed you. Where have you been?
Yeah.
Yo, I just been, trying to do my 1-2, trying to stay on task, got my music going. I ain't gonna promote my next mixtape like I did last time. Okay. I'm gonna leave that alone, But, yeah, man. So I just want to call about this DHop stuff. What's up, Moan?
What's up, man? I was waiting on a hello, man. I hadn't heard from you in forever. I know you working and life changes and everything, but I was just like, you know what? Eventually we'll get there. Yeah. Mike will be back around.
Yeah. I come back around during the season. I leave all the Titan skeptics and all of that stuff because I ain't got nothing good to say right now.
Talk to him.
I'm bittersweet. You said what?
I said talk to him, Mike. Why you bittersweet, man?
Don't tell me to talk to them because then they will be mad at me and they will cancel me. I will be canceled real quick. But it's all
not
good.
On the Monday, Mike. Not on the Monday. Let's go.
All right. But look, man, let me tell you. So all I'm gonna say is that right now I'm hoping that DHop make me eat my words. Okay.
Oh.
I hope that I am wrong about this. DHop or DHop's manager, DHop's cousin, DHop's homeboy, girlfriend, wife, whatever. Hey, tell that man don't be like the rest of them. Don't let this be another, I'm not going to say his name wide receiver, and I'm not going to say that other free agent wide receiver's name 2.0. Don't do this to us, man. Don't get the check. Don't get the bag and then dip off to the 2024 Super Bowl contender. Come on, man. You was the Titans killer. Now be the Titans, the Titans, I don't know, mercenary now. You did what I'm saying? Like, please, man, don't let this be another deja vu, Black Cat, Twitch, we in the Matrix all over again. Please, man. That's it. That's all I can say is this. Don't do what has happened to us in the past. And with that, I'm going to still say tighten up, gas pedal, DHop, be DHop. Don't be the past.
Thank you, Mike.
There we go.
Appreciate the call.
Look, note to DHop.
There is something to be said that Rand Carthon did not sign Julio Jones.
Nope.
Rand Carthon did not acquire Randy Moss.
Nope.
This is why you hire a new general manager. Is to not make the same mistakes that previous general managers have made. So, yes, while I completely empathize with fans today that are saying, why should I get my hopes up any more about this late in his career free agent wide receiver like the other ones that didn't work here? I say this. Who else are you going to get?
Yeah.
Do you want to throw the ball this season or do you not?
I think it's easy to lump this into what has happened in the past.
It is.
It really is. And it's almost like unfair to DeAndre. And look, I get it. I get Mike. I get Titans, kind of hesitancy with this situation because they have been burned. And let's not just say the wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
They've had guys like Jadeveon Clowney, who came here, who was
Vic
supposed
Beasley.
to be a big free agent signing. Vic Beasley, who completely
Bud didn't do what
was
you
nowhere
wanted
to be.
him to do.
Yeah, I mean, so I get it, but at the same time, give Rand the respect, like Will said, that he is a completely different general manager. Look, they didn't just make this signing on a whim. This is stuff that they have sat down and they've really said, hey, would this fit?
Yeah.
Would this work? Are we going to get what we need out of him?
Yeah.
Those discussions were all had, and they were had with DeAndre, I'm sure, too.
100%.
So just give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt in this situation at this point.
In this situation, too, hearing Mike's call, of course, and hearing a few other our listeners' callers is this. The BTS is real.
Oh, yeah.
The battered Titan syndrome, it will come up. Like, this is a good thing when it comes down to somebody trying to help your team, but the hesitancy of it, I will say this, too, is justified. And it's almost expected, too, when you have a fan base here in Tennessee that live and die the Titans when it comes down to this professional team here. And the expectation that, look, we don't want this same old thing again. I think it's okay to actually say that and be, sympathetic to the ones that voice those opinions. The Tannehill situation, the former wide receivers and just free agents this late in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
This late in the offseason, you kind of say to yourself, my BTS is kind of coming up. My battered Titan syndrome is coming up, and that is all right, too. And it's expected.
Mm-hmm.
615-737-1045. We'll get to the breakdown of what the incentives look like for DeAndre Hopkins coming up here in a minute on how he can add $250K, $500K, $750 or $1 million. But let's go back to the phones right now and go to Grant, who is in Nashville. Up next, talking about DeAndre Hopkins and the Titans. What's up, Grant? How are you?
I'm good. Good morning. Thanks.
Morning.
Morning.
Hey, first of all, let me say I don't agree with the caller that was bashing Tannehill. I really think Tannehill's going to have a really good year. I don't know about a comeback year, but I think he's going to have a good year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But on DHop, thank you. On DHop, I think, let's say he has lost a step, half step. That man don't need the separation that most receivers do. He's got such good hands and pass catching ability that you throw it in his direction, he's going to catch it. I mean, that's my take. What do you think of that? I mean, would you agree with me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, I think appreciate the call, Grant. I think from DeAndre's perspective, you're not getting a kind of Julio Jones wide receiver who needed to rely on his speed and athleticism and being able to run routes that other wide receivers aren't able to run. Mm-hmm. That's never really been DeAndre Hopkins' game. DeAndre is a good route runner. Yes. That is certainly a strength of his. DeAndre is more of a power forward, whereas Julio Jones, when he came here, was more of a guy that relied on speed and athleticism, and at that point in his career was not healthy enough to have that speed and athleticism. So we've talked about this, guys, over the last few weeks. DeAndre Hopkins' style of wide receiver play is more conducive to being good late in his career than Julio Jones was. Would you agree with that?
100%. That just because of the route running hasn't been something that's always separated him. This dude right here has gracefully gotten older in this league. Again, stand on the field is one thing, and this is the other thing too. You can admit and say, yes, it's true that he probably has lost a step. That doesn't mean he hasn't played. I play with guys we signed at 29, 30, 31, 32, that if you're looking for what they can do for you in 1 to 2 years, you get those out of those guys, right? But it really boils down to health as far as the individual play. That could be a blunt trauma hit that somebody can have when you're talking about health. Like, what are you supposed to say then? Oh, he's not healthy. No, the guy just got hit in his leg and he tore his ACL. It's those types of things, or a guy's arm or shoulder being locked out. The health thing is so circumstantial when we talk about what a guy's capable of. Julio last year with the hammy, like that just is what it was. But we knew those were the situations that he was going to bring to the Titans, and it came true. DHop situation, man. I look at it and I say to myself, if you're not optimistic about what this potentially can do for your team, just him being out there, and you know he wants to be out there. And I hate to even use his social media, but his tweets as of late have said, "What? Watch me."
Oh yeah, he's been very active on.
You got a talented
My
guy.
goodness.
Yeah, you have a talented guy now that has a chip on his shoulder.
Sure.
Y'all say this all the time, Mom, you'll make up anything. We heard the presser that Blaine had running on the radio about what somebody would say about his mama that never even knew Blaine mama. Think about where you have to go to in those worlds where it's like, oh, y'all don't believe we can make stuff happen in Tennessee?
Sure.
Yeah.
Watch me do work.
And I think the biggest thing I look for, though, is watching over, Tannehill in these training camps, getting ready for the season over the last few years. It's all about he needs to trust his wide receivers. And this even counts for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. Like, look, DeAndre Hopkins is who he is. Like, he's a future Hall of Famer. But he's still going to have to get in there and build that chemistry rapport with Ryan Tannehill, from the start. That's why I think it's great that he's going to be here. This is happening now.
Yeah.
But once you get that, I feel like it's going to be a luxury.
Yes.
It's like adding a Tesla. We were just talking about a Tesla during the break.
Yeah.
It's like adding a Tesla to this offense.
Fully charged.
Yes.
Maybe not, but hopefully half charged.
Yeah, half charged at least.
Yeah,
45.
So DeAndre Hopkins, in terms of the incentives, reportedly from NFL Media and Ian Rappaport, who had this detail, $250K for 65 catches, $500,000 for 75 catches, $750,000 for 85, and $1 million his incentive for reaching 95 catches. Similar breakdown as it pertains to receiving yards as well.
Yeah.
So to the question we had, guys, of what is the expectation or what is the floor for DeAndre Hopkins? Well, as far as the Titans are contractually are concerned, that floor is 750 receiving yards. 250K is the incentive where this begins with 750 yards.
Yep.
Then the same incentive ladder, if you will, 850 yards for 500K, 950 for 750K, and a $1 million incentive if DeAndre Hopkins reaches 1,050 receiving yards. And then the same thing as well for touchdowns. 4 touchdowns, 6, 8, and 10. Last year, guys, DeAndre averaged 7.1 catches per game. That was 4th in the NFL.
Yep.
In the 9 games that he was able to play when he was healthy. 79.7 receiving yards per game. 10th in the NFL.
Yep.
Again, guys, even if he only plays 10 games due to injury, you take that.
Sure.
You take
day.
7
All
catches
day.
per game for 10 games, and you take 70 catches from a guy. Because if not, then Nick Westbrook-Akine is your number 2 receiver. No disrespect to him. Nick Westbrook-Akine is not a number 2 wide receiver for a contending team in the NFL.
This makes his position now stronger, though.
It makes him everyone
Way
on this
more
wide receiver
effective.
room just became valuable. And the biggest thing I thought, guys, is the Titans no longer have the worst receiver room in the NFL.
You're not trying
As
to
of
fit
yesterday.
a square into a circle right now.
Yeah.
Like, NWI doesn't have to have that pressure of, like, if Traylon's not on, then I got to be on. No. I can coast and actually be productive at my position. Guess what? 1 and 2 is done. Guess what? You got a solid number 3 right there. And I know Kyle Phillips is in the fold and then Chig, too, but it's just like you're not forcing people out of position. It's like trying to make me in the NFL play tackle. Heck, coach, I'll practice at it. I'll even practice at center if I need to. But I'm not a center. I'm not a tackle. Put me a guard. That's where I flourish at. You don't put yourself in a bad situation as a team when you got guys at positions that they know how to play those positions. And I'll say this, too. Traylon's not a 2. Traylon's a 1A.
Right.
In this offense, depending on what comes to DeAndre, he may be a 2. Okay. We can just we'll side eye me what we got right now.
He's
Will.
a 2.
You think Traylon's a 2?
At this point in his career,
At this
absolutely.
career, I'm developing into a 1 is what I was saying.
I think he can be a 1.
This is what this can do with DeAndre being here.
Look, the pressure should have never been on him from the start to be a 1. His rookie season,
early.
it was kind of like, well, who else is our 1? Well, Robert Woods ended up being your 1, but Robert Woods should never have been the 1, right? So there has not been a distinguished number really here in the past, season and going into this season. We didn't know until you got DeAndre Hopkins. Now I think you can say for right now, at least to start the season, that DeAndre is probably expected to be your 1. Now, I wouldn't disagree with you to call it like a 1A situation, but it's up to Traylon now.
It is.
To battle to be that. And I think that, again, is really good for a guy like this who's already showed he's taken a step in his maturity, what he's doing on the field right now.
Conditioning.
There's nothing that you can say that would be like, this is not a good situation.
No
it's
doubt.
a great situation.
No doubt.
615-737-1045 as we take your reaction all morning to DeAndre Hopkins reportedly becoming a Tennessee Titan. And we go to the man who met DeAndre Hopkins on his visit. Guys, is Bam getting any royalties on this deal? Bam, can you confirm nor deny that you are getting 10%? Like, are there incentives for you as well, having talked to DeAndre on his visit?
Well, right now, I'm definitely not getting any royalties. I guess I need to hire an agent. I wonder could I hire Ramon to be my agent because the Titans even took my quote and didn't even follow me.
Oh, man.
Nashville's the vibe, man. Nashville's the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Like, it's okay, though. Look, my thing, I'm for the team. I'm a team player all day. I'm pretty sure all of Nashville is doing the Ric Flair strut right now. We're styling and profiling like only we can do. But look, man, we're going to have this conversation in October or sooner. Tannehill is about to explode this year. Now, I'm not, listen, Ramon can tell you, he's had to talk me off the ledge several times when it comes to this. Like, literally, he's had to give me some grief counseling. But I'm telling you, he's got a point to prove. He's got the receivers to do it with and the tight ends to do it with, and he's got Derek, and hopefully he's still mobile. I think this team is actually about to really be a scary team that the NFL is going to sleep on. You know what I'm saying? DHop made the right move. Like I said, when I talked to him, I wish I could have seen his face when he was like, bruh, Nashville's a vibe. Like, his eyes really look up. I kind of think he was sold when he got here. He had to do the preliminaries, though, and do everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But even him sitting in my gig for the little bit of time he was there, he was just like, yo, yeah, man, this is what's up. You know what I'm saying? Like, his spirits was just real high. So to see that yesterday just made me be like, you know what? Yeah. I played a part in DHop getting here.
So, Bam, is there anyone else you want to recruit to Nashville? Like, any sport, any NFL player that's available? Like, who is next on your hit list that you want to become a Nashville?
I mean, look, I'm feeling my mojo now. Like, it's
Up, going to the Bluetooth.
Oh,
we lost it. We switched into a car.
Switched
over to the car.
And we've got to run anyway here. But, man, Bam is the one who gets the Nashville is a vibe quote from DeAndre Hopkins. And then, genuinely, the Titans won't even follow the man. The Titans tweeted that out last night.
I was a little surprised. I
Gotta
saw
give
that
credit where
quote.
credit's due.
I was like, wait, that came to form on our show.
Yeah.
I like it's catching on,
Hey,
though.
Bam, it's messed up because they follow my burner. I mean, no, they don't follow my burner account. They follow my real account, which I can't access right now, man. My burner account is booming right now.
I love that those
Is
of
it?
us, I will not say who it is, those of us collaboratively who run the Ramon, Kayla, and Will Twitter account can now post whatever we want of you and about you.
Yep.
And you have no opportunities to rebuttal unless it's on your burner. Your burner Twitter account, since you've been locked out, for those of you unfamiliar, it's been a lot more active recently. You've been following people. You've developed. You're following like 200 people. Nobody's noticed it yet.
Nobody's
Has
noticed.
anybody followed you back except for one person?
One person found me, and I feel like we do have to give him a gift.
Is he your brother?
A trinket or something. No, it wasn't my brother.
Oh,
No, it wasn't him. He don't even follow me on my burner account.
Dang.
Yeah.
I wouldn't follow you either if you saw what you're presenting yourself with, that disheveled orange.
I mean, it looks awesome in my eyes. It looks awesome in my eyes, Kayla. But I'm not sure if I want to expose it. I think I like being behind the scenes on the burner account, though.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
It is kind of fun.
Lots more DeAndre Hopkins reaction upcoming this morning as we broadcast live from 2023 SEC Media Days, an NFL show from the beginning of talking season of the SEC. 615-737-1045. The F&M Bank chat is alive and moving around this morning as well, as you can watch on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Drop a comment there on the YouTube channel. Let us know where you are watching from this morning, and give us a call if you want to get in on the phone lines, get your voice with us like Bam there, and maybe the Titans will tweet about you and not follow you back too. Who's to say? 615-737-1045. More phone calls upcoming on 1045 The Zone.
Buying a diamond, if you're not properly educated, is hard. If you're not careful, you can overpay big time. Small variations in diamonds' quality specs can make a huge difference in its value. That's why I always recommend Genesis Diamonds. Genesis Diamonds education is second to none. They will teach you the secrets of the industry. They will explain how diamonds are priced on the world market. Their non-commissioned experts will make you a savvy buyer, even if you choose to shop somewhere else. These days, this is so important, especially if you're considering buying a lab-grown lab-grown diamond. Let Genesis reveal the truth behind this recent trend and show you all the info on how lab-growns are being overpriced in so many places. Bottom line, Genesis is your source for the best information as well as the best value for both natural and lab-grown diamonds. Whether you're buying a diamond for the first time or upgrading to a large, rare, investment-grade diamond, Genesis will make sure you don't make a mistake. Genesis Diamond, where the focus is always honesty, transparency, education, quality, and value. Don't buy a diamond until you learn the ins and outs from Genesis, located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors as we broadcast live this morning from the Grand Hyatt in downtown Nashville. 2023 SEC Media Days off and running. 615-737-1045 our number as we talk DeAndre Hopkins and Tennessee Titans. That move, as first reported by Doug Kayad of A to Z Sports yesterday. And I feel like we got to give a little salute to our friends and our media partners at A to Z Sports getting that scoop.
No, what a get.
Big time.
Big time.
Big time. Let's go to Colleen in Nashville, who's called in to talk DeAndre Hopkins and Tennessee Titans. Good morning, Colleen.
Morning, Colleen.
Good morning. I just want to say y'all are doing a great job. I always
thank you,
y'all, and whatnot. So I'm calling because is this player, Mr. Hopkins, is he really that good to sign at a 2-year deal? Why not work with what you have? And why do we keep outsourcing and getting our feelings hurt? And you're talking to somebody that is not a diehard Titans fan. I know that's wrong. I'm born and raised here in Nashville. I'm a diehard Vikings fan. I don't know if that makes it any better. But why couldn't you do this during the draft? Like, you went off and got another quarterback when we already have one. Work with what you have, build your foundation, and go from there and see where all the cracks need to be filled correctly. And if somebody needs to be let go, cool. Then bring in somebody else. I just don't get that.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Colleen. And, to the first question of why not work with what you currently have, it's because your leading receiver last season was Robert Woods with 527 yards.
Who's no longer here, by the way.
Who's no longer on the team. So what you had last year wasn't good enough. The question, though, I think is a valid one.
I think it's fair.
Why not just draft somebody that is younger who's going to be here longer and be on a cheaper deal? And the reasoning is the Titans believe Will Levis is their long-term franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And they would rather have a long-term successor to Ryan Tannehill that is, at this point of the process, a team that is rebuilding. As we've said on this show the past few months and over the offseason, that is the sign of a rebuild, a team that is looking to add guys on short contracts that aren't going to get in the way of players you will draft eventually and potentially build a connection and a rapport with a rookie quarterback that is your next up QB.
And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say two quick things real quick. We hadn't even discussed much at all. Is this. Number one is you go get a guy because your front office think you need that guy too. Like, that's first and foremost is you need this help for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins who's on the market right now that was outright cut by his old team. You don't have any hangover from that. This is a brand-new contract. And speaking of the contract makes my second point. Number two's in this league as far as money, as far as age. This deal, I feel like, to me, was set to feel dirty on both sides. DHop probably wanted more. The Titans probably wanted to pay him less. We were talking about numbers on what it was going to take to sign. I think most of us are between like $8 to about $14 million. Number 2 wide receivers in this league are second-tier guys in this league now. DeAndre Hopkins overall is not a second-tier guy, but like the money that he was paid suggested that he can be on your team at a value. This is a value for the Titans to sign a guy like this, and that's all the sense you have to make. 12 million for a guy like him is about as clean as you can get when you're talking about team management and roster and salary cap.
I want to go back to her question about building a foundation. Why can't we just use the parts, the pieces that are here right now? And even Treylon Burks, when asked about DeAndre Hopkins before he even got here, he was like, I like the wide receiver group we have now. Well, part of that is he's got to say that, right? Like that, he was at that point the only kind of guy there that was expected to be their number one. Now you got a guy like DeAndre Hopkins who's going to bring in that veteran leadership, who's going to take a little bit off of his plate. But when it comes to the foundation, look, go back to J-Rob signing in the first round. Go back to his draft picks in the first round. The reason why you can't do the necessity pieces like the wide receivers right now is because you're having to rebuild the offensive line. You're using your first picks on offensive linemen because you pretty much missed. You swang and missed.
Yes, totally.
And that is all coming back to the foundation because it was messed up with the previous draft picks early on in this draft with John Robinson.
Isaiah should be on a second contract this year. That's why.
Yeah, you shouldn't have had to draft a guard at in the first round.
Nope.
in Peter Skronsky.
You needed to draft him
because then maybe you could have done a wide receiver.
You're
at
right,
that point.
Kaylee. You don't have the money for appetizers right now.
Let's go one step further. If Malik Willis had taken advantage of his opportunity last year, you're not even drafting Will Levis.
Boom.
Come on.
That's just one pick. That if Malik Willis takes the job and runs with it after Ryan Tannehill gets hurt, you don't have to bring in Josh Dobbs. You maybe make the postseason, first of all, too, if Malik Willis takes advantage of that. But again, Malik was never supposed to play in his first season. But since he did and didn't rise to that occasion, then you think, okay, well, we got to go get a quarterback of the future again. And that's why Will Levis is your QB.
The conversation around Malik last year in camp, think about it even went before the season. You know what I'm saying? So you're right. You don't have money for appetizers. You get a meal and water.
Yep.
Coming up in hour number 3, Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel takes us through the 6,000 pages of documents that he has read when it comes to Tennessee's NCAA investigation and penalties. We'll dive into that with him at 8:20, as well as how Tennessee used NIL to avoid a postseason ban, and also used the state attorney general to avoid a postseason ban. Interesting story there that he exclusively had with the Knoxville News Sentinel. We'll dive into that in hour 3. We'll also take more of your reaction as the Titans reportedly add DeAndre Hopkins yesterday. 615-737-1045 our number as we broadcast live this morning from SEC Media Days 2023.
8 o'clock on the dot. What's going on? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Probably the biggest news story of the summer as three-time All-Pro wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is expected to sign a 2-year, $26 million deal worth up to $32 million with incentives. A to Z's Doug Kayad was the first to report. He's going to join the Buck Rising show today at 12:20. But I talked about the incentives. Ian Rappaport broke down those incentives in the contract, saying there are $3 million available in his incentives for his catches, his yards, and his touchdowns each year. If he reaches 95 catches, 1,050 yards, and 10 touchdowns, he gets the full bag of $15 million. Also in the AFC South, the Jaguars and tight end Evan Ingram agreed to terms on a 3-year, $41 million deal with $24 million guaranteed. Essentially, it's a 2-year extension for the tag, which is a $14 million deal. Also, while we're talking about tags, the Cowboys and Tony Pollard, barring a late change, are not expected to reach a deal by Monday's 4 p.m. franchise deadline. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. Now back to RKW at SEC Media Day on 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. It's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors as we welcome the SEC to our city, Music City, here as the 2023 SEC Media Days begin. Talking season in the Southeastern Conference. We've got a full crew ready to go for you all week long, Monday through Thursday, right here on location at the Grand Hyatt, just off of a Broadway bridge that no longer exists. But we still found a way here on time with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Kirby Allen Kirby, drinking Pepsis and keeping us on the air as he always does. Robert Walsh back in our 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Will Bowling. And, guys, I love that we have been getting emails through this entire show from the SEC like, oh, we are looking forward to welcoming you, and this is what you should expect when you get there. Like, no, we were among the first here this morning.
Yeah, we were pretty much one of the first tables. Like, now it's definitely filling up. We've got people across from us, people on the side of us. This is, by the way, the Grand Hyatt, a beautiful hotel here in Nashville, Tennessee. The Grand Hyatt is certainly grand, but it's nice because I feel like we got the best spot. Because we not only have the coffee in front of us, but we have the first look at whoever comes in to the big conference area there where they're going to speak at the podium. So I'd like to say, you know, the hometown kids, we get the good spot.
Of course. Rub today.
Yeah.
And of course, you mentioned coffee without bringing up Kirby's name. I mean, Kirby
made it
coffee
happen.
in today.
Let's just make that
all credit
clear.
must be given where credit is due. And Kirby Allen Kirby, you made that happen. Thank you, sir.
So the beauty of being the flagship Nashville station here on SEC Media Days 2023 is we are live at this table from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day this week. No one else is going to promise that to you. We will be front row for everything that happens and your exclusive home for 12-hour coverage right here in the city of Nashville of SEC Media Days. But, of course, this morning – our coverage has been all about DeAndre Hopkins because according to a report first by Doug Kayad of A to Z Sports yesterday, DeAndre Hopkins is headed to the Tennessee Titans, reportedly agreeing to a 2-year, $26 million contract, first reported contractually by NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, a deal that could be worth up to $32 million with incentives. The discussion this morning all about the money that could be moved in order to make DeAndre fit. And the changes that are going to have to happen now, guys, to an offense that opens training camp next week.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. Opens training camp next week, looking completely different than they did 24 hours ago.
Yeah, this is definitely catching headlines everywhere, and clearly it's the most important here in Tennessee. But I think even a lot of national media that I had heard yesterday, a little bit surprised by this, which I don't think if you were here covering it in Nashville, and even not, being biased in this situation, I just thought this was the better fit. I mean, you're going to get New England because it's Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
They're a big market, right? Yep. They're going to get the attention when it comes to this. Remember, even when he made his visit, there's a lot of good things to come out of this. Like a really great sit down with Bill Belichick. It looked like they wanted him to sign there. Mm-hmm. And this was a better fit. You look all over the AFC South, and you say, hey, this gives him a better chance to compete. Yep. I think. If you look at what was going on in the East, I just don't think they had a chance really to compete at the top.
No.
Maybe they'd have a better chance with him there, but I think this gives the Titans a legit chance now to battle for an AFC South division title.
Facts, Kayla.
And I think that he probably saw. Add the defense to the list, which he definitely put on one of those things where he was looking for a good, solid defense to go to. This is a team that has that. And then the relationship, no doubt, with Tim Kelly, spending time with him in Houston, and Mike Vrabel. Yep. And Mike Vrabel, I don't care what anyone says, he's a player's coach. Yep. And guys want to play for him.
Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins said earlier this offseason he was looking for a team with stable management. He has that in Mike Vrabel. Doesn't maybe have that in Rand Carthon on a team that has a first-year general manager, but I think Mike Vrabel checks the stable management box. Mm-hmm. He said he wants a QB who loves the game, and again, we've made the point that although Ryan Tannehill is coming off of a decent season, honestly, he was good when he was available. I say decent only because he wasn't available by the end of it, which wasn't completely his fault, but QB who loves the game. When DeAndre Hopkins was in the AFC South, Ryan Tannehill was a Pro Bowler in 2020. The last time DeAndre Hopkins saw a Ryan Tannehill team in the AFC South, Ryan was taking the Titans to the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing DeAndre Hopkins wanted was a great defense because defense wins championships. Titans have potential to be a great defense. Mm-hmm. At the very least, again, though, Kayla, to your point, they have a great defensive coach in Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the phone line, 615-737-1045. We go rapid fire on the phones before we get to Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel, who is scheduled to join us at 8:20. Eric in Nashville is first up as we begin the second half of the show this morning. What's going on, Eric?
Good morning, Eric.
Hey, guys. It's football season when you hear from Goody Mike and from Bam.
And from you. It's great to hear your voice, Eric.
Oh, yeah. I always look forward to hearing from those guys. And, guys, I get you talking about the national meeting. I guess you saw the video. I guess it was Pat McAfee on the golf course interviewing Mike Vrabel about signing up there, which I thought was hilarious.
It's great.
Guys. And I'm watching Get Up, and they're talking about it now. And one of the extra things they just showed a few minutes ago, they were talking about DeAndre Hopkins coming to the team. He's got 72, quick touchdowns and second on the Titans now with Mike Vrabel because they include the coach with 12. When he played the linebacker with the Patriots, as far as guys that caught receiving touchdown passes, I kind of thought that was interesting. I definitely like to move guys, and I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic. But guys, it's still the big thing in the back of my mind, whether it's fair or not, it's the PEDs thing. And also, of course, now they're talking about, too, the big thing, the fact that the Patriots missed out on this, and Orlowski, and I guess Damian Wood has said that the Patriots blew it by not signing them. So that's going to be just as much big talk about the Patriots not getting them as well as the Titans. That's going to be kind of going around ESPN and all the media outlets, guys. Guys, I'll get off and let you get some other callers. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Eric.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it feels like the Titans were the perfect mix of opportunity, yet also having other weapons around you and having a run game.
Yep.
Having a quarterback that is more proven than Mac Jones. And is quite frankly just better than Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm. He is. And, of course, we'll get into other callers, too. But the other thing is this, though, and we got to at some point break down the bullet points of what DHop said and his ask for a new team. Does this put more pressure now on the defense? Like, as a defense now, does it raise the ante a little bit with you as far as performance-wise, saying to yourself, hey, we got to go. We got a bona fide playmaker. Now the outlook of the team. DHop is going to be on those NFL presses where his face is part of the marquee, right? It's going to be him, Tannehill, and Derek, right? Those are the guys they're going to put out there. But defensively now, stuff has changed for you. It just has. And I think that's a good thing. You got a way better opportunity now, especially if a guy like Roger McCreary and Christian Fulton both grow up even more this year.
Yeah.
Next up on the phones, we go to X in Lebanon, 615-737-1045. What's up, X?
What's up, X?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing this morning?
Good morning.
What's up? I was just when DHop had originally said what he wanted from the team, I think, people, because of course everybody's got something to say about it. But I mean, people got to forget we got one of the potential top 5 D lines. To me, I feel like with Jeffrey Simmons, I feel like we could do something good on defense. And people also got to remember, last year Tannehill was hurt, but when Tannehill was on the field, I mean, we looked like we could do great things. I mean, I get it. The Bengals game, he dropped the ball, but he didn't really have a receiver that is up to DHop caliber. I mean, we had, Woods? I mean, Woods is good and all, but I just think, with him adding on, it opens up the running game, and which you already had a good running game, so now you got to worry about the running game and the passing game. Now you got to worry about, if Kyle Phillips stays healthy, he could be a good slot receiver. You can move DeAndre to the outside. Not alone, he's probably going to play inside too. So, I mean, I just think it's a fit, and everybody else thinks you need to quit hating. Y'all have a good day.
Appreciate it, X.
Appreciate the call.
And X made a good point about the defense, right? And the Titans, I should say. He said we, meaning the Titans, have one of the best defensive lines in the league. And I wouldn't disagree with that. And, I think that having Jeffrey Simmons now with a new contract, he's completely juiced. Watching the defense in OTAs and minicamp, there was a lot more energy than the offensive side of the ball. Look, I'm just going to say it how it is, right? And that usually is what happens during this time of year. And we'll probably see it a little more in training camp. But adding a piece like this, I think even when Julio came here, you felt a new energy in a team and with this team. And, it didn't pan out. But I'm excited to see what it's going to be like when DHop, is there when training camp. It's going to heighten everybody's kind of urgency. And especially the defense, like you were saying, you need the offense to up it. But I think the defense is now like, we got a guy like this.
Oh, my gosh.
Let's battle even more, and let's push this offense even more to get them to that point that they're going to be ready.
And the only reason I bring that up is because I remember when we signed Joe Hayden out of Cleveland. Remember when they released him years back? And all we kept saying, because we knew we had cornerback issues, boy, if Joe Hayden can come here. And then he came. And offensively for us, it made us just, dive in even more because even though Joe was older at the time, I think maybe 31 at the time, 31 at the time, you still said to yourself, I know what he can do if he's out there. And that's all you're hoping for a guy like DHop.
Coming up, Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel stops by as we detail the 6,000 pages of documents that he has gone through in open records requests from the University of Tennessee. And one of those details shows that the Tennessee Attorney General threatened legal action against the NCAA on behalf of Tennessee football players if the NCAA had imposed a postseason ban against Tennessee. Very interesting stuff from the legislation now in Tennessee state legislature that says that the NCAA cannot impose a sanction that vindicates the rights of UT students to enjoy a full measure of their intercollegiate athletic opportunities. Essentially, you have the state of Tennessee using state laws for NIL now as a way to supersede the NCAA's authority if they had been given a postseason ban.
You can't hate that.
Really interesting stuff that Adam Sparks has unearthed covering this for the Knoxville News Sentinel. He joins us coming up next right here on Ramon K. Linwell.
I am joined now by certified arborist Dean Glasgow of Arbor Art, Tree and Shrub. Dean, you guys offer so many great services, but right now you're also hiring for administrative positions along with plant care techs and tree crew positions. Tell us more what people can do to find out.
Yeah, it's really easy. Happy Monday, everybody. It's a beautiful day so far. It's going to be a great week for everyone. I can just feel it. But anyways, Yes, we are hiring in all positions. If we're just looking for good quality people that are smart and drug free and want to come to work and enjoy the outdoors and enjoy trees. And if you want to do some administrative work, we're even looking for someone to help us in the office. So 615-299-9999 is that number. You can go online at arborart.net, and there is also a banner there about hiring. And also, just don't forget, we are accredited tree care company through TCIA, which is the Tree Care Industry Association. So you can count on us to do things right, be transparent, and do it right the first time. And you can trust us in what we tell you about your mature trees, and also we can help you with our plant health care program around your home with your shrubs. So 615-299-9999. Thanks a lot. Have a great week.
That is right, 29 years of experience. That is Arbor Art Tree and Shrub for exceptional service every single time. Call 299-9999 or just simply go online to arborart.net.
Monday morning continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, live from SEC Media Days 2023. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. And joining us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, he is the busiest man in Tennessee media. He is Adam Sparks, covered the Tennessee Volunteers for the Knoxville News Sentinel. Adam, first of all, I want to congratulate you on the insane amount of work that you've had to do going through open records requests, documents, emails, text messages. Do you feel like you're just part of the former Tennessee coaching staff at this point because you've read so many of their texts and emails?
At some point in here, your eyes glaze over once you get to about 5,900 text messages. I had my wife look through the texts and read them back to me. So I think we've sort of been doing, feed me your lines. You be the recruiting staffer and I'll be the assistant coach, and let's read these texts back and forth as if it's a conversation. I've had to resort to that over the last few days.
Incredible. The amount of information that has come out of this, from Brian Niedermeyer lying about having a relationship with a girl, and that's why he was paying recruits, and all these things that have come out of this, Adam. What is this thing that stands out to you the most when it comes to just the culture Jeremy Pruitt created at Tennessee and the way the Vols were able to avoid a postseason ban? What is kind of your main takeaway from all of these documents that you've been through?
Well, I mean, the easy one for Tennessee is that if you look at it from 3 years ago, you'd say they got hammered. If you look at it over what we know in the last 2.5 years, they came off in really good shape because they avoided the postseason ban. The other sanctions they knew were coming. None of those were a surprise. Jeremy Pruitt and his assistants obviously get hammered. I think it's 39 years of show cause that they collectively that they have. It's an enormous number. Looking through the documents, I mean, what jumps out to me, a few things. One is that you could see how it was unraveling. If you read, and again, I've read through 2.5 years of these text messages, and you can see early on how this was a little closer to a well-oiled operation. And then late in it, in the last 2 or 3 months of it, you start to see recruits that early on would be coming to campus secretly or off the books, and it would be them and their mom at a restaurant, and Tennessee would pay for it. Then it'd be them, their mom, and a high school coach would come and get some under-the-table perks. By the end of it, you've got recruits showing up with like 8, 10, 12 people at a seafood restaurant and a bowling alley, knowing that at the end of that night, whatever the tab is, a student worker for Tennessee is going to show up with a wad of cash and pay for it. So that's the way these things usually go, is they start out with the school or the boosters or the coaches sort of owning the recruits because of the violations, and by the end of it, the power flips and the recruits own the school because whatever they want, they ask for. And what are you going to do? You're going to tell on them? You're going to say, hey, guys, you can't bring 3 of your cousins and your uncle and your buddy on your high school team to the lobster and steak show. But yeah, you can, because they have to pay for it at the end. So that's you could see that changing, and you could see in the text messages even how recruiting staffers were getting frustrated that these recruits were taking advantage of the free perks.
Adam Sparks, Knoxville News Sentinel, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And Adam, I think it's interesting that Tennessee tried to use state legislature and the state attorney general who threatened legal action against the NCAA on behalf of Tennessee football players. And Pandora's box kind of opened here when it comes to NIL and state legislation that allows NIL to happen and supersede NCAA rules. How significant is this, though, that Tennessee kind of used this tactic, and the Tennessee state legislature was using this tactic to potentially avoid a postseason ban? Have we seen anyone else try to do something like this?
This is sort of a new thing where you do use state laws to push back on the NCAA in the NIL space. I haven't seen anybody do this to use it in this way. The Tennessee legislature amended the NIL law to include this part. You can they did it during the Tennessee case, so obviously that's the motive, to say that these guys have a right to earn money through NIL, and if you take away a bowl from them, that detracts from their value. And that's sort of how it's written. That's the idea behind it. I thought the most interesting thing is that in the documents you can see that the Tennessee Attorney General sent this letter to the NCAA, but it came in under the deadline. It came in past the deadline to get it into the record, the case record for the hearing, which means the Committee on Infractions would not know technically that the letter existed or the threat of legal action existed. But the NCAA made for special circumstances. They said, we're going to let it slide. We're going to let it come in past the deadline. And I think that's interesting because they wanted the Committee on Infractions, essentially the judge and jury, they wanted the judge and jury to know that this existed, that this threat existed before they ruled on the case. I think that's very telling that the NCAA, as much as they could, wanted to avoid this.
Adam, so much to dive into. First and foremost, I just want to go face first into this situation, this story around George Floyd. Where did this happen to come up in the investigation that he felt sympathy? Like, does he have the Jeremy Pruitt Foundation right now set up that he can raise more money to do stuff like this? Because if he was so, heartfelt by this, there has to be a Jeremy Pruitt Foundation right now, right?
Yeah, maybe so. Here's the funny thing is I think Jeremy Pruitt sincerely is a big-hearted guy. This did not go well, and there's a lot of implications of him having knowledge and operating this recruiting scheme. In some of those instances, you read through some of the interviews when he talked to investigators, and he copped to a couple of small violations like this one. We have to put ourselves sort of in a time machine and think of how we were thinking in 2020. A lot of the protests and things around the George Floyd situation, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, he brought those up in his interviews. We have to think about COVID and the fact that people were losing their jobs and people didn't have money for medical expenses, and that's what he ran into then. And so if you put yourself in that time warp, he's saying these guys usually get money from student assistance funds. Honestly, he said in the interviews, I feel sorry for them because I make $4 million a year, and I got a player's mom asking me for a couple $100 to pay for bills. And you can kind of understand that. Now, you can't understand, paying, thousands of dollars so guys can go bowling and, eat lobster 5 nights in a row under the table from NCAA rules. But you can kind of understand where Jeremy Pruitt comes from some of those other things. I think there was legitimate guilt about how much money he was making, and this happens sometimes with coaches. Sometimes they get caught with these things, and they say, hey, I got a lot of money, and they've got none. And what really that thinking led us to the NIL era.
This situation also is based a lot of money, right? That's the focus point of it all. And we've all heard about universities or coaches or whoever, runners paying players money and families and stuff like that. Are you surprised by the amounts that was handed out? Did you expect more money to be handed out? Because honestly, over $60,000, I didn't expect all this. Is this what happens behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, this is what they got them on. There's accusations that there were more. It's a relatively small amount. The NCAA did not hammer them with all these show causes, his staff, because of the amount of money. They hammered them because of the number of infractions. There were over 200 individual infractions within the 18 category of violations. It was just that it was so brazen. It was, again, if you read the text messages like I did, This is just a everyday sort of thing. It's just setting up these impermissible visits, not even pretending to care. That's what the NCAA chair said. They didn't even pretend to follow the rules. In one of the text messages, they share a news story. A staffer does to an assistant coach, shares a news story that says, we're in COVID lockdown, players and coaches cannot, see each other face to face for like 16 months or something. And the coach replied to that with a thumbs down emoji. And then you see in the text messages, they then set up a fake itinerary for a visit. So they're cheating and then seeing that what they're doing is cheating, and they're just sort of like rolling their eyes at it and continuing to cheat. The NCAA does not tolerate that.
So, Adam, no bowl ban, obviously, but there are wins that are now going to be vacated under the Tennessee football program. Just tell us more about that, and does that impact, I guess, Vols and kind of the history of the program?
Yeah, it kicks them out of the top 10 in wins for now. They were tied for 10th with USC. I think now they're at 11th ahead of LSU, I think it is. They'll make up that ground if Josh Heupel continues to win like he has. But so that's, when you tell people, hey, we're erasing a good portion of the Jeremy Pruitt era, of course Tennessee fans say, yeah, no worries, I already erased it from my mind as well. So that you lose the Tax Slayer Bowl win over Indiana, well, you just beat Clemson in the Orange Bowl. So right. I think a lot of people forgot about that anyway. But it's these vacated wins I think are always weird because those things happened and we saw them, and it's just going to be a weird spot when you get the media guide. The one that's being handed out SEC Media Days this week is not the updated one because it was due before this happened. But after Media Days, you'll see the new media guide that just has vacated in the spots of those games.
Just how significant was it to, self-report and to kind of get out in front of this? And do you really firmly believe that helped with the outcome?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I asked Kay Norton, the chair of the NCAA committee, I told her, I said, let me ask you a hypothetical. If Tennessee does not self-report and run the whole internal investigation and cooperate to the extent that they do, tell me hypothetically how this would have been different. And it's a hard way to explain it, but categorically within the structure of the NCAA penalties, they would have to give Tennessee a 1 or 2 year postseason ban. Okay. It's just the way the penalties are set up. It's a sentencing chart. If they did not have the extenuating circumstances of that level of cooperation, the Committee on Infractions actually wouldn't have a choice. They would have to give them a 1 or 2 year bowl ban.
Adam Sparks, Knoxville News Sentinel, our guest. Adam, when you look at this entire situation and guys who come out of this looking much worse than they did going into the investigation, got to think that Brian Niedermeyer is the guy that comes out of this looking the worst, talking about lying about hiding his girlfriend's spending habits from his parents with whom he shared a joint bank account. Have you ever heard of an assistant coach making 7-8 figures who shares a bank account with his mom and dad?
I was trying to remember when I separated from my parents' bank account. I think it was when I made $5.15 an hour working at Piggly Wiggly. He was making $355,000 a year. He claimed that my dad's a stickler. He's a hard guy, and he's an accountant, and he looks at everything I spend my money on. And as he said, I'm living the Knoxville high life. I'm a single guy. He even said in the interviews, I frequent places where alcohol is served, but I don't want to go into those details. It's like he was talking to his mom, or maybe his dad, so to speak. And so he claimed that he had to pull out this cash. $2,000 here, $4,000 there. He had to pull out this cash because otherwise his dad would say, "Where's your cash going?" And then again in the interviews, he said also, my girlfriend just spends an enormous amount of money on things. She's a high spender, and my parents hate her. So
wow.
I tend to think I would rather admit to whatever would get me a show called rather than tell other people that I make well into the six figures and I'm scared that my dad is going to see that I spent my money somewhere he doesn't approve. He was 31 years old when this happened. So think about yourself, 31 years old, and you make $350,000 a year, and you're afraid your dad's going to text you with a screenshot of some expense that you made at 1 a.m. the night before. It's a weird universe.
It's crazy that, honestly, it's a good deal for the parents. Parents can upgrade a new house.
So,
they
right?
can, they're living off the sun, not vice versa. Adam, as Tennessee moves forward now, Josh Heupel in Tennessee will make the rounds here at SEC Media Days on Thursday. The first time that Josh Heupel has ever been able to come here and not have the NCAA investigation hanging as a cloud over his team and over the athletic department. What is the main storyline from your perspective? What are you most interested to hear from Josh Heupel as he talks to the media later this week?
Well, I do know on the violations part, they had a Zoom call with the recruits the other night, and they essentially told them, hey, guys, everything we've been telling you behind the scenes, that this is going to blow over, there's going to be no postseason ban. You know it now. It's in black and white. Anybody that tries to negative recruit against Tennessee now has nothing to go on because it's been released, it's public. Now they can just sort of move forward. They'll weather the storm on a lot of these and manage the behind the scenes, but they got a team coming back that there are some obvious holes there that could make this team take a sizable step back, but there's also some solutions on there, starting with Joe Milton, that this could be a team that challenges what last year's team was. If you tell me they win at the Swamp here in a couple months, I'll tell you this is a team that could win 9 or 10 games. If you tell me they don't win that one, then maybe this team looks more like the Music City Bowl team from a couple of years ago. I think they're going to be somewhere in between those two seasons Heupel's had so far. If they can get closer to what last season did, they're going to be at least in the running for a similar bowl to the Orange Bowl they did last year. I think they're going to probably go 9-3-ish Citrus Bowl. I think somewhere in between those 2 years. But you could see them going down, or you could see them going up from there. It just depends on how they plug those holes.
Adam, just real quick, I just want to know what kind of bus Pruitt was driving when he called his coaches and staff members bad actors, as they should bear the brunt of the punishment. I just want to know, what bus do you think he was driving?
If you read through all the responses and interviews, it's like the kid that got in trouble on the playground. It's like, listen, I tried to tell them, Mom and Dad are going to be mad. You can't do that. And then you see in the interviews in the other room, the other one saying the same thing about them. The head coach is the one that knew everything. Well, no, the staffer is the one that knew everything. That student, that 19-year-old student worker, that's where all the money was coming from. He did it on his own. We didn't know about it. He just randomly decided to show up to hotels and restaurants and pay for everything. You see some weird. It's just finger pointing 101. That's what you read through a lot of the responses and the text.
Adam Sparks has been our guest here this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, covering Tennessee and doing it as well as anybody over the last 48 hours, especially. Adam, again, great work on all of this. Really enjoyed your work and appreciate the time as always.
All right, thanks, guys. We got more coming, so stay tuned.
Absolutely.
There we go. Thanks, Adam.
Always. There's Adam Sparks with us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Reaction to that up next, and the specifics on the exact wins Tennessee vacates through its NCAA penalties given on Friday. Coming up on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
The Ford F-150 has been the best-selling truck for 46 years. Think about that. 4 decades, best-selling truck year after year, okay? And Two Rivers Ford has been the leading F-150 Ford dealer in our community for 40 years also. Two Rivers Ford has a huge selection of F-150s on the lot right now, and they're all priced below MSRP. You see, Two Rivers Ford always sells for the best price. Their trucks are clearly marked, no gimmicks, no shenanigans, just an honest deal and a speedy process. And did I mention that Two Rivers Ford has non-commissioned salespeople, so you'll never be pressured. There's a reason Two Rivers Ford has been the best in business since 1983. So if you're in the market for an F-150 truck, call, click, or go see my friends at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
Wrap it up hour number 3 on a Monday morning edition live at 2023 SEC Media Days. It is RKW. And our coverage here on 104.5 The Zone is presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling and Advanced Hair Restoration. For more info and schedule of interviews, you can visit 1045thezone.com/events today. Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The only ones in Nashville who will promise you that. But you're not going anywhere else anyway, so
right,
keep it right there, as you always do. In the record book, guys, Tennessee doesn't have to vacate many wins from Jeremy Pruitt because he didn't win a lot.
True.
Tennessee's record will change from 8-5 in 2019 to 0-5. Ramon, we technically lose bragging rights for our alma mater against Buck Rising's alma mater. That's the headline of this. It's all that matters. And Tennessee's record in 2020 changes from 3-7 to 0-7.
Oh, my gosh.
Jeremy Pruitt's record at Tennessee is now officially 5-19.
Yes.
And all 5 of the wins officially on the record for Tennessee when it comes to Jeremy Pruitt were all in 2018. So even still, Tennessee beats Kentucky and Neyland under Jeremy Pruitt. So even after all of that, Kentucky still does not get to say that they at least didn't get beat by Tennessee. No, you still did.
Yeah, you still did. Absolutely. Man, I just can't believe that people – I'm just going to say this, okay? Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. This guy was basically commissioned to be the CEO of the University of Tennessee because the head football coach holds that much power, right? Can we all agree on that?
We can
agree. For the most part, he is a CEO. That ought to tell you sometimes you're not wrong. You're just in the wrong position. That's all I'm taking away from this. Jeremy Pruitt had no idea being anybody's CEO. Sometimes, guess what, y'all? It's okay to be the underboss. Be the defensive coordinator. It's okay to be the underboss because clearly you had no absolute business being a head coach of a football team this time around, the next time around, or even yesterday, okay? Absolutely no reason to be the head boss.
He had a better chance of being a successful CEO of McDonald's than he did the Tennessee Volunteers. Let's just make that clear.
No, that ice cream machine would be broken every single day.
That is true.
Every day.
He'd mess up the Big Mac, Kayla. No, he wouldn't. The buns would be back to back.
Chicken
would be
McNuggets
cold.
would be filled with beef.
Oh, my God.
What I liked what Adam Sparks did say, regardless if they vacated wins, which they had to, right?
Yeah.
You do look at it as, okay, it was under him. It was during probably not a great time now that you look back at it, involves history. And honestly, you're at a point now where you're looking to just double those up and move forward. And, you're hoping that under Josh Heupel in this program, in the state of the program, it's only going to go up from here.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like a blip, right?
Yeah.
Just a blip in history that you kind of just have to overlook.
But this is the thing, though, too, Will. You said, our teammate here, Buck Rising, gets an opportunity to brag. No, he doesn't. Because it's like that game doesn't happen except on TV.
Well, right. It just means that they don't have a loss. Doesn't mean they get a win. But it just means also that they just technically,
he gets
didn't
nothing.
Lose it.
Yeah, he gets nothing and will like it.
And he likes it.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
like what his
like
hair
it.
looked like after it happened. He had to cut off all his hair. 615-737-1045, our number as we hit all the headlines today from DeAndre Hopkins to the SEC Media Days, the 3 teams that will be making the rounds today. Hoping to catch up with Vanderbilt, who will be making the rounds tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Tennessee Volunteers, Coach Josh Heupel, who will speak with the media on Thursday. A heady play by the SEC, getting the local media at the very least to stick around for the 4th and final day.
Yep.
You guys this will be your first SEC Media Days, this entire experience. So you will notice today you've got fresh faces, you've got lively people, everyone's happy to be here. By Thursday, these will be zombies that are just that are just slowly just shuffling through the hallways. And half of these people just won't even be here. But since Tennessee will be on Thursday, a lot of these people will actually stick around.
Yeah.
I've been to one, and that was back in literally 2008 when I was covering Alabama and Auburn.
Okay.
And you can imagine the change from that time period to now, where you're looking around, and it's not only just the local TV, it's the SEC network, it's every type of different podcast, it's radio. So it's also grown immensely, where it's kind of cool, though. You wonder, do people just want to stay up around just a couple more days later? Because it is in Nashville. Let's make that clear.
77 degrees at America's Music City.
Yeah.
Weather the next few days should be pretty good. Although the air quality,
it's bad.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be good at all.
Wherever you go, it's terrible right now.
Yeesh, 94 all this week?
What'd you expect? We're in July.
It's July in Nashville.
April, May, and early June tricked me. That's what it was.
Are you going to vouch for the weather?
He vouched for them.
I didn't know. I'm not in early March, April, June either. Not even. Nope. We just take it as it is.
Vouch for me.
I told you, I'm out of vouchers.
Vouching for Mother Nature.
I'm out of vouchers.
Every time Ramon Foster vouches for someone, they either end up in trouble with the law or fired.
Don't come
exactly.
Or both.
Don't let him vouch for
both
you,
of them happened to Todd Downing.
It has happened.
Don't let him do it.
Don't
Goodness
ask me
sakes.
to vouch. It's just like me on cut day in the NFL.
Sure.
Anytime I saw a dude, they got cut.
615-737-1045. Do not look Ramon Foster in the eyes. It's like Medusa. You don't turn to stone. You turn to unemployed. Coming up, hour number 4 of a fast Monday morning edition. A reset of the headlines, the teams, the coaches, the players that you will be hearing from today at SEC Media Days. And the big story, because NFL is king, and DeAndre Hopkins is a Tennessee Titan. Your reaction and your phone calls at 615-737-1045 on the other side.
What the heck's going on? Good morning. It's 9 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Three-time All-Pro wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is expected to sign a 2-year, $26 million deal with the Tennessee Titans. That deal is up to $32 million with incentives. Ian Rappaport broke down those incentives in the contract, saying there are $3 million available each year for catches, yards, and touchdowns. If DeAndre Hopkins reaches 95 catches, 1,050 yards, and 10 touchdowns, he receives the full $15 million for the first year. Also in the AFC South, the Jaguars and tight end Evan Ingram agreed to terms on a 3-year, $41 million deal with $24 million guaranteed. It's essentially a 2-year extension on top of the tag that he received. Speaking of tags, the Cowboys and running back Tony Pollard, barring a late change, are not expected to reach a deal by today's 4 p.m. franchise tag deadline. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour of our Monday morning edition, the show that gets better in the fourth quarter. As always, it's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Coming up in 30 minutes, former Tennessee quarterback, the newest Detroit Lion, Hendon Hooker will stop by the table. Looking forward to talking with him for the first time since we saw him down at Mobile at the Senior Bowl. We'll get the latest on his knee, on rookie season with Dan Campbell and the Lions, and most importantly, if he's given Joe Milton a little bit of training when it comes to how to handle us media types here at SEC Media Days 2023.
He was impressive the last time we had him at the Senior Bowl. I remember the biggest thing I remember about him is actually shaking his hand.
Yes.
Because
Mitts.
once I shook his hand, I was like, holy crap, this guy has big mitts.
Catcher's
my
mitts.
goodness,
Yeah.
and look, he was just still kind of going through the recovery process.
Yeah.
Now he's kind of on the other end of that, still recovering, but it's going to be exciting to see like what it's like or what it's been like for him since he's been up there in Detroit doing the OTAs, doing the mini camp thing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I only have one question for him. Well, I got numerous questions for him, but the most
you're gonna
important
have
one.
more than one.
Yeah, I have more than one, but Cam Sutton. I just got to ask them about it because they're now teammates up there. I think there's a few Vols in Detroit right now as it stands. But just I've never seen a guy and one individual, other than maybe a track person, run as flawlessly and long as Cam Sutton does. His conditioning, y'all, is by far some of the best I've ever seen in life. Like, he'd run, and I almost thought he wasn't breathing.
Jeez.
Like, it was that easy to him because he was a true pro, too.
It is also now official that for the first time in his career, Ramon Foster, Hendon Hooker has shared a teammate with you.
Oh.
Hey.
That's a big notch
that's
in Hendon Hooker's belt that for the first time now, he will come on our radio show and y'all be able to compare notes about teammates that you've shared.
We can. And Cam, I'll tell you this, too. He going to try to welcome to the NFL as soon as he's able to hit that practice field.
Sure.
Hey, that teammate college stuff is cool, but it's also a bragging rights to be like, hey, man, I intercepted you. So it'll be fascinating to see how that all works out. And Cam is a vet now, and I want to kind of hear Hendon's take on just older guys, young guys, his expectation. He was king of the hill in Knoxville, if we're being honest, right?
He's a big man on campus.
He goes to the bottom now as it stands.
Also looking forward to hearing what his relationship is already with Jared Goff. And you always kind of are interested in the dynamic of a quarterback that's still there, that's still the starter. But when you look at Hendon, I think a lot of Detroit Lions probably the fans expect for him to take over at some point. So I think that will be interesting to see just if he has any type of chemistry with him yet, if he's kind of sat down in the meeting room, asked some questions, like what's that dynamic like between Goff and Hendon?
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. And like you said, he does have that luxury. One, the knee situation is one thing, but, of course, he can learn under a vet. And for sure, asking him about I was just looking up the roster for the Lions, too. It is Knoxville North.
Knoxville North.
It is
Jalen Reeves-Maben, Clarksville's own.
Yep.
Wow.
Cameron Sutton.
Yep.
Emmanuel Mosley. And Hendon Hooker.
And
Look
Hendon
at that.
Hooker.
You also have Obena Easy,
Yeah.
who is a Davidson Academy graduate
That's
from right here in
crazy.
Nashville,
Look at
former
that.
tackle from TCU.
All that stuff kind of matters, too.
That's right.
I made sure
Yeah.
to take Dan McCullers under my wing when I was in Pittsburgh, and the same thing for Cam Sutton. Like, the bonds that you do have at Sherman University does kind of make that transition a little bit easier. We know this for sure. I think all four of these guys actually still make the final roster in Detroit, too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool to have somebody on your side. Those SEC conversations get real thick during the season, man. Of course, there's no betting, right? There's absolutely no betting.
No betting.
Yeah, not here.
But you
That's
can
right.
bet you can bet push-ups and stuff like that. So I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying?
615-737-1045 is our number. Of course, the big news in Nashville, where NFL is still king as SEC Media Days begin. DeAndre Hopkins will be a Tennessee Titan on a report first by Doug Kayat of A to Z Sports yesterday. Contract details from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network and NFL Media. 2 years, $26 million with upward mobility to $32 million. We mentioned the stats given by Alan Bell of Sportsline.com and 247 that before DeAndre Hopkins was a Titan, the Titans had a 31% chance of making the playoffs. Now, according to his data, 38% after the fact, as DHop finally ends our long national nightmare and is the last big name to commit, so to speak, to his new NFL team.
I want to ask Titans fans, like, legitimately, how do you feel? The chances, right? Everybody does this. You're 0-0 right now as far as the season goes. Like, you really do have a chance. Undefeated. But this is the portion of the year where hope comes into play. DHop gives a little bit more of that. Everybody's healthy. Knowing that you get Harold Landry back this year. Knowing that you get, a healthier Ryan Tannehill. And, of course, whenever NPF is back in the fold, gosh, I hate that. Like, as O-linemen, we're supposed to be smarter. I just want to put that out there. You know what I'm saying? And I know they made a simple mistake. He made a simple mistake as far as it stands. But this team is stronger because of this signing, especially if he gets to the field those 17 weeks.
I'll tell you this much, and I know I bring this up sometimes, but I bring it up because when it's all said and done, the Titans don't get a lot of national love. And I think sometimes they like it that way. I think they like having that underdog mentality.
That's fair.
But I do think ever since Mike Vrabel has landed in Nashville, he has done a great job, whether he knows it or not, of keeping this team pretty relevant.
Expanding it.
I really think that is cool to see, just because when I came here my first year, you'd be lucky if they talked about the Tennessee Titans once, right?
Yep.
It's always fun for us. It's fun for the fans to have, them be involved in the actual conversation.
Yeah.
So this is just another thing that you put now in the off season that you just did, going into training camp, and at least, you get some more eyes on the Tennessee Titans in terms of a national overlook.
Yeah, definitely.
DeAndre Hopkins, the last 2 seasons, has missed 15 out of a possible 34 regular season games, meaning that through hamstring injury, torn MCL, and a suspension, he's not been completely available. But at this point, guys, if you view DeAndre Hopkins coming in as not the missing piece and the piece to put you over the top the way we all viewed Julio Jones, I think the majority of fans, I'll say, not speaking for us, but speaking for the fan base, Julio Jones was seen as the last piece.
He was.
The last piece of the puzzle in a draft where you didn't draft a wide receiver as early as anybody wanted, and you waited until you got Des Fitzpatrick on day 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's, all right, well, let's wait and see. Maybe Julio Jones is the guy that you end up getting to counteract that lack of draft attention given to the wide receiver room. I think that is the place where we have to be careful when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins. I would be surprised if DeAndre Hopkins plays 17 games this season. I think it's important to have that expectation on the front end. The guy has missed a lot of games over the last 2 seasons, and you can't overlook the hamstring issues.
Right.
You can't overlook the MCL, the suspension. That is what it is, and I think you hope and trust that that element of him missing games is certainly behind him. But ultimately, at this point, who else are you going to spend money on at this point? It's a deal that only goes through the next 2 seasons. We don't have the breakdown yet of what the salary cap number looks like. Why not? I mean, Julio Jones and that deal, yes, you're still paying for that. Yeah. You have dead cap hits still when it comes to the Julio Jones signing and the move that you made. The question is now, and it's twofold for me. Have the Titans learned from why Julio Jones didn't work on the field? And has Ran Carthon, does he possess a clearer sense of how do I make this contract get off the books in 2 seasons, regardless of whether DeAndre Hopkins plays 2 years for us or not?
100%.
That is the area where Ran Carthon has to do a better job than John Robinson, is playing that financial flexibility game a little bit better and a little bit more intelligently. And I think the COVID pandemic certainly made that a tougher assignment in the moment for John. He's not going to have to restructure contracts because the salary cap has gone down, right? So to give John a little bit of grace for that, everyone was walking through a situation that no one has ever seen because the salary cap hasn't gone down the way that it did during COVID in that way ever because of a global pandemic.
I think that it does help that their salary cap goes up significantly next year, right? With all the new TV deals kicking into place, and that is helpful. But I think it would be naive to not go back and look at how some of these deals went down. Because let's make it clear, every year you're going to have to make some sort of a move in free agency. That's just part of the NFL. And so I don't want to poo-poo or say in the future they're not going to do this again, right? Because it's a part of how you build teams and how you fill openings. But, he needs to be, Ran Carthon specifically speaking, smart about this moving forward in the types of moves they make. But if you look at the bulk of the free agents they signed, those are pretty good deals when you look at it. And those are guys, that have to come in and kind of prove themselves a little bit more. But I think we all are agreeing from what we've seen so far, those were good signings. Now you kind of had a bigger signing because of the name. And you expect that, that money, the way he negotiates that in the future will work out, especially better than
no doubt about
the Julio Jones signing.
The coolest things about it, though, this isn't a trade. You traded for Julio, so you assumed all of his contract.
100%.
This is a 2-year break. And even if you extend Ryan Tannehill and pay him up front a little bit more money too, I still feel like his dead cap hit would allow you to get out of that, because we spoke about that too, Will. Tannehill may get an extension. We don't know what this is, or at least a pay increase. If I'm an NFL starting quarterback, guess what? You are in a win window. I think more now with DeAndre and with the young guys and this defense. A hard reset of trying to say, hey, Will Levis, go ahead, run with this. Unless we see drastic improvement out of him too, then why not roll with Tannehill? Again, we've seen what he can do when he has weapons. Look at the guys right now. Tua looked phenomenal last year because of what? Weapons, right? Think about all the young quarterbacks. Even Trevor Lawrence, get a stable coach and weapons. He does a whole lot better. So much so that his tight end, Ingram, signs an extension just a couple days, just yesterday. Think about the young, budding quarterbacks. Or one of the reasons right now, the quarterback in Chicago, his situation, right? Justin Fields. He needs weapons. That's all they've been talking about. The quarterback is as good as his supply or his cupboard. And right now you just added to it as far as DeAndre Hopkins go here in Tennessee.
615-737-1045. In 15 minutes, we sit down with former Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker, who is making the rounds at SEC Media Days. Looking forward to that coming up at 9:30. And on the other side, more of your phone calls on DeAndre Hopkins and the Tennessee Titans. 615-737-1045. We'll get to Alvin up first after the break as we continue live from SEC Media Days 2023, downtown Nashville, the place to be as always, and the place to be in the Southeastern Conference. Our coverage presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling and Advanced Hair Restoration. It continues coming up next on 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Zen Sports. And if you did not know and hadn't been listening to me, listen this time around, okay? Zen Sports is a new sports book in Tennessee. And they are a brand focused on making sports betting better today and always. And they do it in so many ways, too. The welcome bonus. Earn 5% cash back on your bets for the first 15 days of betting on Zen Sports. The cash rewards program, too. Earn up to 3% of your betting volume back as a cash deposit to your account every month. This happens every month. On the first of every month, too. And the referral rewards program. Earn 3% of your referrals betting volume as a reward for the first 6 months of betting on Zen Sports as a cash deposit to your account. And the thing about using Zen Sports, too, is easy. The search and sort bets easily. You can set your favorite team. Easiest experience possible in making or building a parlay. You can withdraw within 24 hours and deposit funds instantly. And one of the best things I like about it, 24/7 customer support. Easy to retract rewards. No gimmicky promotional bets that look too good to be true. Again, I've told you before, stop settling for Vegas rewards when Zen Sports is right here in Tennessee. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
Monday morning continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you.
Yep.
On the phone lines at 615-737-1045, live from SEC Media Days 2023. Guys, we have a small army of 104.5 The Zone teammates who have made their way here.
We do.
They were not making the walk with us through the streets of downtown Nashville at 5:30 this morning, but they are here now. Everyone's well-rested. They look ready for a full day.
And
I'm
we're
glad they are
almost done.
well-rested.
Well, look at that.
Our work day is almost over.
Yeah.
Best thing for us, we probably have the least amount of traffic coming in, too, because that
I
bridge
know.
really is shut down.
It is.
It doesn't exist.
That's crazy. I was like, oh, no, it's not that bad. And then Ramon did the service of bringing us over here this morning, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's that bad.
It is that bad.
That bridge is no longer a part of my work commute on the way into the station. So
Oh, that's right.
I never really took it to begin with. If I was getting breakfast at any of the places right on the bridge, really it's just one place that I would go to, get a little McGriddle situation or something,
Sure.
but no longer an option.
That's fascinating. I guess it was just time to repair and redo, I guess, here. I just always look at those type of situations when it comes to road work, and it's like, you couldn't have picked a different time?
A better time to do it, right?
Well, middle of the summer, I mean, that's...
It's Nashville.
Right
What do you
before
expect,
football
Mo?
Well, they're trying to get it done before football season. That's the thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, we'll see.
It's supposed to be, closed for 2 weeks.
I'm not vouching for it.
They're professional builders here in Nashville.
We'll
you
see.
know.
We'll see.
Skyscrapers and stuff.
Allegedly. 615-737-1045. Alvin is in Nashville, up next with us, talking DeAndre Hopkins and Tennessee Titans. What's going on, Alvin? How are you?
Alvin?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Great.
Good. Hey, I was gonna say, man, I'm glad that we signed DHop. My concern is, and has always been, is the offensive line. You got a rookie starting at guard. You have the guard that he was a guard last year. He's a center now. His first season
Brewer.
at center. Brewer, correct. And my concern is at right tackle. Would you put your fifth-round pick right there? Because now you're kind of limited on money. So, we also need depth at that position. That's another thing that John Robinson messed up on by not picking up Conklin's fifth-year option and not re-signing A.J. Brown. We still chasing offensive linemen and receivers ever since then. We keep chasing that. So my question to y'all is, would y'all put a rookie from Maryland, I can't think his name, but the one we drafted this year, at the right tackle spot? Or would
Jalen Duncan.
Jalen Duncan.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Alvin. Appreciate it. I think there is a 99% chance the Titans sign another offensive lineman during training camp.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, even years where your right tackle isn't suspended,
yeah.
you make moves during training camp and you add bodies and you subtract guys, and there will be cuts that happen early. I think the question now, guys, do you think the Titans make a trade and do a late pick swap for an offensive lineman, or is a guy like George Fant who is available, someone that comes in and perhaps gets an opportunity to play tackle for this team?
His name's been circulating. He actually tweeted out yesterday, they just have to give me a call.
Yeah.
They just have to give me a call, and that's where he stands right now. I know he's in the area. I told you guys last week when I got back, I saw him at the airport. We exchanged numbers and everything.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit. He, for the most part, is interested in it, of course. But, of course, the Titans would probably have to bring some cash to the table, too, because other teams will potentially be on the line to him to try to get him signed because he's a veteran. It's hard to find good offensive line play in this league. And if a guy is veteran enough, smart enough to actually handle the task, do it.
Yeah.
The thing that you have here is the guy is actually right here in the city. So it's going to be fascinating.
I don't think it's going to be a trade scenario, just for the fact that, I think we're going to see how much kind of hope they have in the guys that are there right now. And if they don't, then we're going to see some sort of a different type of scenario with the trade. But, yeah, I think right now they're happy with who they have and who will compete at that position.
Yeah.
Bringing someone in maybe free agent-wise, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be a trade situation for them.
But here's the thing, though, too, when we speak about sign an offensive line, Alvin. Like I'm glad you brought that up. One, because that is a position of need at all times, or at least have depth in bodies, right? That's one thing we can say. But this is the thing. The offensive line position isn't one where you need a name like DHop. It's not a name where you need a guy like Jadeveon Clowney or Vic Beasley, somebody, a known commodity. There are so many guys that are on this team or in teams in general that absolutely just simply need an opportunity. And that's what we're looking at right now. The Titans do have guys in place, Jalen Duncan being one of those guys, Corey Levin being one of those guys across the board where you kind of say to yourself, if given an opportunity, will you take advantage of it? And this is also just a 6-week temporary situation, depending on what's to come from it, right? That's what we're looking at right now is the idea that whoever's going to be the starting right tackle, it won't have to be the entire season because that's the thing. NPF will get his position back. So you have to be understanding of that.
Yeah.
If George Fant is signed on this team, you have to account for the fact that a guy like him, a veteran, make opening day roster, his salary is guaranteed. So you can't just outright cut him.
And there's still guys that have a chance to compete. I mean, we've talked about the rookie in Jalen Duncan who has so much upside. You've talked about Jamarco Jones, who we haven't seen yet because of the health issues last year, who could technically come in and be available for 6 games at right guard if he wins that out. So, right tackle, excuse me.
I'm just glad to see there's an actual understanding of what the importance of OL is at this point.
I think if anybody has given OL love on the show for the past 9 months, it's our show.
Against our will, right, Kayla?
I don't know why. I don't know why,
Yes,
though.
I don't have any clue why that would be.
It's not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing.
This is a pro offensive line show, whether Kayla and I like it or not. There's nothing we can do.
It is, but when we speak about the shortcomings that this offense has had the last couple of years, that's somewhat been the starting point, the O-line and the wide receiver position. Those have been the starting points for it. Like, we can criticize 17, Tannehill all we want to. But ask any quarterback, Hall of Fame or day one starter. If you're not protected, how comfortable do you feel doing your job?
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, Ramon, because from your perspective, when you were an 11-year veteran in this league, when you played in Pittsburgh, when you guys would make a signing for a new wide receiver, how much was that a topic of discussion for the offensive line of like, hey, like, we don't got to block as long anymore because we've got guys that can get open more quickly, right? Because Titans had both issues last year. They had guys that couldn't block long enough for any of their receivers to get open, but at the same time, the Titans had a lot of receivers that, while Robert Woods is a solid 2 or 3 in this league, does not have elite athleticism and separation at this point of his career. He's not separating quickly enough for the offensive line to have enough time to do their jobs. Those same offensive linemen are better offensive linemen if DeAndre Hopkins can get separation more quickly.
100%. So this is the thing where we didn't really sign a whole lot of wide receivers. When guys actually turned into dudes, like Emmanuel Sanders, Antonio finally turned into guys that people felt threatened to. It was one of those, hey, if we give our quarterback time, we're gonna be on this field a short time or a long time because we're either able to make big plays or sustain drives because we have those playmakers. Like, the pressure to perform up front really does fall on the guys blocking for the quarterbacks, the tight ends, the running backs, because you understand if we can't give him time, he can't see his guys. So there is added pressure for those guys, and whoever's going to be the right tackle for this team have to understand that, look, my career could potentially be on the line. Like, guys can jumpstart their careers if they have the ability to be a guy like a Jamarco Jones.
Right. And you need to start that earlier than not, right? You got to find that guy earlier than not, because you have talked about it time and time again. Like, that unit is different from any other unit in terms of their bond, in terms of what they are building on and off the field. So you hope they can find that guy earlier on in camp than later, just so that cohesiveness can start early on, and you're ready for the start of the season.
Yes, 100%, Kayla. And so I'm looking forward to see if there is a signing. It wouldn't shock me, though, if they just kept it in-house.
Yeah,
and went with
wouldn't
Jamarco.
shock me either.
It would not shock me whatsoever. You know how Vrabel is with his guys.
Oh, yeah. He's an Ohio State guy, too, might I add.
I know.
Jamarco Jones has to be healthy, though.
No, he does.
And he hasn't at all in his Titans tenure. I think this thing's wide open like the right tackle job was last year.
Yeah.
And we went into training camp thinking Dylan Radins is your right tackle. That's the guy. He's the one that's going to get all the opportunities and move over there, going into a season where he's not a young player at that point in 2022. Dylan Radins came in last season as a vet. Second year. I mean, it was his opportunity to step up.
Yeah.
and Nicholas Petit-Frere took over that job within, the second or third week of training camp?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is Jalen Duncan this year's Nicholas Petit-Frere? That's the question I have at this point.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to put on him, but you know what? If he seizes the opportunity and he does kind of sit in and learn, hey, I got to be more aggressive. I got to win this. I got to have a little more dog in me. I think then, he's got all the tools to make it happen.
He really does. The world is yours at this point, man.
His oyster.
Again, it's a few things that always seem to happen since I've been covering this team. It's always an issue with a player that you had the same issue the year before.
Yeah.
Right now, it's the right tackle. We had the same issue last year. Finding out where Aaron Brewer is going to be at, we got that issue again this year. Not that that's an issue, but it's the circumstances still pretty much surrounding one guy. And, of course, the wide receivers. I feel like for 3 years we've had that conversation about what's the wide receiver situation is going to be, and I just hope soon we can finally get stuff in cement that's going to stick for a while here and be a foundation for this team. Even if you only get DHop for 1 year, you get a Traylon that's really expanding his role so that the young guy, if they go first round and draft a wide receiver, hey, I'm going to show you the ropes. Those are the things we got to see and need to see out of this team kind of moving forward. So Rand's era, Vrabel second GM.
Yep.
Different times, and I'm hoping there's a whole lot of good that comes out of this.
Well, we're looking forward to be joined by Hendon Hooker coming up here in just a couple of minutes as interviews begin and former players, current players, coaches begin making the rounds as the afternoon continues. We'll have highlights of what Greg Sankey says to the media coming up here in just a few minutes when he talks in the big room here at SEC Media Days, 11:30. When he is scheduled to make his State of the SEC address. That is when SEC Media Days 2023 officially begins. And we will certainly always have many things to discuss with Greg, who we hope to get on the show as the week continues as well. And a number of topics that just feel like the list continues to grow for him every year, every time he meets with the media in the big room.
Yeah, Commissioner Sankey, who just got signed to a new deal, which I think everybody was pretty excited about, just considering what he's did. Queen T in the house, Teresa Walker passing by. Just to, what he's done with his conference up to the state. You guys, you can look at all the other conferences. It's hard to argue that this is not by far the best. And I could say even with all sports.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that has to do with Sankey and just how he's been able to get out in front of things.
Yep.
He's looked to the future a little more. And he's dealt with things the right way. And I'm not trying to kiss butt here because I'm a Pac-12 girl through and through.
Yeah, you are.
But, man, he's got nothing on a Pac-12 or even a Big 12 conference.
It seemed like Greg Sankey has stepped on a lot of necks when it comes down to saying, look, we're going to be king of the hill, and we're here for a very long time. It's exciting to be a part of the SEC right now. I truly don't know what to think when it comes down to, how other commissioners and other conferences are really trying to say, because as a competitor and you're in leagues that are compared, you really got to say, how do we take down the SEC?
You do.
Those
especially
would be my
through the Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
Because that's their number one competitor.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and take our last break here. That way, Hendon Hooker running a little bit behind here at SEC Media Days. We can have as much time as we need to talk with him as he makes the round here at SEC Media Days. We will hope to have him with us when we come back. One final break. Hendon Hooker on the other side here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
It's Ramon Foster from MyPhDWeightLoss.com. I'm here to tell you it is Monday, and we need to act like that in a lot of different ways. When it comes down to you getting on track with your weight loss, again, y'all know the fall is right around the corner. With the fall comes football season. That means tailgating. That means holiday season. That means everything when it comes down to how you operate as a person. I'm here to tell you, if you're thinking about losing a couple pounds, My PhD Weight Loss is a place to go. Whether it's 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 50 plus like myself, or 100, they will help you change your lifestyle, okay? And that's what they've done with me. On average, most female clients lose between 2-3 pounds a week, and most male clients can lose between 3 to 5. It's something that has proven to work. It's something that myself and Buck Rising both have been able to do. It's just changed. My clothes fit different. My body feels different. My inflammation is down, and I just get up and go when it comes down to me feeling better about myself. This is something that you have been thinking about. Visit myphdweightloss.com and be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Back at SEC Media Days 2023, it is Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. VFL Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling, and we are pleased to be joined this morning by VFL Hendon Hooker, kind enough to give us a few minutes. How much do you enjoy hearing the VFL before your name now? Is that kind of set in yet?
It's still surreal because that's an honor to be a VFL.
Yes,
so, continue to rep the brand as well as I can.
Well, welcome. You're here with Bush's Baked Beans. You're going to be watching SEC games for the first time. I know you've got Bush's Baked Beans right on your tailgate menu for this season as Tennessee tries to make it 2 in a row against Alabama.
For sure. Whenever we can get a side of baked beans, in the cookout or in the grand scheme of the meal, it's always great.
Love it. Well, man, what have these last few months been like? We caught up with you at the Senior Bowl. You're a Detroit Lion now, so obviously congratulations on that. What has it been like going through that rookie minicamp and kind of first NFL offseason?
Yeah, it's been cool. Kind of different because I have the injury. So not really being thrown out there, first day of rookie minicamp, being more of a cerebral, player on the field and just trying to suck up all the information that I can and get extra reps. And then when the vets get there, kind of pick their brains as well. And Jared Goff and Nate Sutterfield, they do a great job of helping us get acclimated to the NFL and to the Lions as well.
How does it feel actually having Detroit be Knoxville North? Because there's 4 Vols on the team. I was always proud of having a Vol on my team. How has that been, especially Cam Sutton? Because I played with that dude.
Yeah, it's amazing. And being there with Emmanuel Mosley, who I played high school ball with, and I remember my freshman year, he was the starter. I was his backup on varsity. So
wow.
Him just always being a great mentor to me and helping me, make huge decisions like going to Tennessee in the transfer portal, and then now being on the same team with him, and we both had the same injury, so both asking each other, hey, are you running today, or are you gonna live? What are you doing? And it's always jokes and always a great time. And then Cam is the big bro as well, and he helps me out a lot in knowing how to maneuver as an NFL player now.
If I was you, I would pick Cam Sutton's brain.
Yeah.
He was a player coach in Pittsburgh. By far one of the most well-conditioned players I've ever seen in my life, but also the smartest, man. I would just attack his brain as much as you possibly can. But the other portion of it, though, too, is how has the flexibility been as an NFL quarterback now with the playbook, the coaches, understanding, like you said, E-Man asking you, are we running today? Like, those are things now that you have the option as a pro to kind of understand how to, carve out your own pathway as a pro.
It's been cool, and really just trying to conduct myself in the best manner that I can, and showing my teammates the way that I work. Trying to be the first one in there every morning, and I don't know about the last one to leave, but I'm definitely one of the last ones. But majority of the time, like the days are so long, you want to get out of there at a decent time so you can get some rest or be able to have some downtime before you dive back into that playbook before you go to bed.
Hendon Hooker, our guest on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
What were your first thoughts when you heard Detroit Lions and you're going to play for a coach like Dan Campbell, who, we kind of compare a lot here to Mike Vrabel, just the energy that he brings to this team and a team that's on the up and up, Hendon?
Yeah. The first thing that popped in my mind was the couple of plays that they had me kind of walk through on my visit in the pre-draft process. So as soon as I hopped on the phone with quarterback coach Mark Brunell, I started talking about some of the plays, and he was laughing. But it's always a great time there, and it's a lot of competitive nature, in that building, and everyone wants to get better, and everybody wants to win.
When it comes to this season and the Tennessee Volunteers, I know it's hard now because you're going to be an NFL player, but how closely are you going to be watching, your former teammates in this team as they continue to kind of rise here in the SEC?
Yeah, I'm going to continue to watch them every week. Just naturally, me and Joe are going to talk about it. Regardless. So I'm looking forward to them having a huge season and putting up big numbers this year.
Hendon Hooker, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. So I'm curious, Hendon, have you given Joe any advice on how to manage us media types here at SEC Media Days? And maybe more importantly, has he confided in you on what his outfit will look like and the suit?
Of course. Of course. He asked me what I was wearing today. I said, I'm chilling, Joe.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not wearing a suit. I'm not wearing a suit today. But I think he might be best dressed here. He'll have some nice on, something really nice. But Joe's a vet. He's been around college football and the media for a long time. He's been in that spotlight. He knows how to handle it.
What's the best advice you feel like you've given him?
I've given Joe.
Yeah.
Enjoy every moment.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, soak it up. A lot of guys, want to rush out of college so fast, and then when you get out, you're like, man, I miss those days.
Yeah.
So, I'm telling everyone. I told all my teammates at Tennessee, cherish these college moments and make these memories because you will never get them back.
The question I have for you, man, is of course the question about the offense is going to always come up.
Mm-hmm.
How did that transition over into your pre-draft conversation, speaking about Heupel's offense that you commanded, and you learn everything is essentially what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the system on the field equips everybody to succeed.
Yeah, for sure. I think just through my pre-draft process, a lot of the combine meetings and a lot of the meetings that I had with teams, like installing their plays, we call it this, like, oh, we have that, we call it that. So, it's just different verbiage and different language everywhere. But being able to walk into rooms with GMs, presidents, head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, and then their support staff, and just taking over the entire meeting, and being well prepared. And I think Tennessee's coaches, did a great job of that. Even when I was hurt, I was still getting a couple play calls in from Cowboys' old playbook that one of my coaches had. So any way that I could continue to build and get better, that's what I did last summer, and then this summer I came back to Tennessee and did some work with them as well. So,
nice.
So, Hendon, I don't know if you saw the Tennessee-Alabama rebroadcast was on SEC Network again the other day.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you rewatched that game? Because I genuinely think once a week I watch highlights of that game.
Okay, yeah. So going through the draft process, you'll sit down with the GM or with quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, and they'll say, okay, what game do you feel like was your best game? And they'll always say, like, oh, I know Alabama. And I'll say, actually, Florida. I want to watch the Florida game.
Okay. Yeah.
So anytime, like, they would put the film on, you have to explain it. So I've seen it maybe 1,000 times.
Right.
So.
And I was talking to somebody about that recently, that specifically the drive you guys had at the end of the first half against Florida. Just what a statement that was, and the throw you made to Ramel Keaton and the diving catch that he makes. Obviously, that's a guy that's ready for a huge breakout season this year. How much did that moment kind of feel like that offense really clicked for you all this season specifically?
I really felt like from the summertime.
Yeah.
Usually, like this past weekend that just passed, we would take a quarterback receiver trip out here to Nashville and just kind of hang out and go get some field work and just kind of build that chemistry. Mm-hmm. So I think from just that summertime to in-game situations, we knew each other like the back of our hands. So continuing to push that offensive line, and once they made that push from that goal line, it was go time. We knew that we were going to go down there and score the ball.
Hendon, how is the health? How are you coming along? How are you feeling?
I feel good. Continue to work my knee. I just got back from California working out with Jordan Palmer and the Modus group. That's my rehab group. They do a great job of making sure that I'm dialed in on every little detail and getting my body back, strong.
What did you learn from that process, just of going through something like this?
Have patience.
Yeah.
Have patience. I remember talking to a lot of my friends who had injuries of the same sort, and I'm picking Emmanuel Mosley's brain because we had the exact same injury on the exact same leg. So, just continuing to stack days and be patient, and when the time comes, I'm gonna be excited to get back on the field.
You're a competitor, just like anybody, an ultimate competitor when it comes down to it. Going through the draft process, and now in hindsight, your opportunity is coming. The knee is getting better, learning the playbook. How motivated are you to knock some of those guys off and drafted in front of you? In a sense because you beat those guys, too, and you played a huge part in beating those guys too. So where are you at on that?
I'm very motivated, especially like not being able to perform in the combine and show my athleticism. to the max and break some of those quarterback, records. And Richardson is super athletic. I'm pretty athletic too. So
man, go on.
I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there and really show people, why I was the SEC Player of the Year and why I was the best player in college football last year.
I love it. Hendon Hooker with us. On the way out, Hendon, have you seen Dan Campbell's morning coffee routine in person yet? There's a lot of talk about this.
Yeah, I have not. So majority of the time, I have my own routine when I get in the facility.
Sure.
I get in there pretty early, and I might see some of the coaches in the weight room lifting while I'm getting a little prehab, and then I'll go watch film for about an hour, then eat breakfast, then we'll have team meeting, and that's when I get to see Dan at the team meeting.
Taking kneecaps
off. Yeah, Dan he's a fiery guy and very electrifying and great energy. He's great to be around. So I'm excited to get back to work.
Y'all have a very player-heavy coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can't prepare yourself. There are some dudes that play football with you that's going to talk trash. It's like, dude, you're supposed to coach me. You're not supposed to tell me. I can't imagine what y'all practice is going to be like, dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like through OTAs, it was very competitive because we're supposed to just be working on plays, get acclimated to everyone, grow the chemistry. No, we're scheming up the defense. Like, we're going to score, and then the defense is scheming blitzes, dialing it up.
That's fun.
I'm very excited, to get out there and get back to work.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to watch you go to work, man. Hendon Hooker has been our guest this morning on Ramon, Kalen, Will. Continued health and success to you. The way you represent Tennessee has been awesome to watch, man, and just wish you all the best.
You. Thank you.
Wish you the best, man.
Yes, sir. There's Hendon Hooker. We are done. The Buck Rising Show up next as SEC Media Days 2023 continues. Back at it tomorrow morning. Ramon, send us home.
Man, hey, please remember your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot as I continue to talk it.